Good evening and welcome, everybody. I'm calling the City Council meeting of the City of Lafayette to order at 6:30 on Monday, April 14th. I want to make a really quick announcement. There are I think a lot of public comments coming in for an item later in our agenda. The way this meeting works is we're going to go into closed session at 6:30. We will come back at 7, have a couple of presentations, a couple of agenda items before what I imagine is a lot of public comment coming in on one particular item 14. So it's going to be a little while until that item comes up. And so I would encourage everybody to go enjoy the lovely library right around the corner and take your time. All right, thank you. So so for the record, all council members and the vice mayor are present. And do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we're unanimous. So do we have any public comments for items not actually public comments on the closed session item first? On the closed session item?
No, not
Not
yet.
Closed session is item 6, but thank you.
And you have to hand me that yellow slip so I can call you. I have a hand raised in our virtual audience.
Okay.
Of course, I don't know which item she wants to speak on. So Beth Bourne, I'm calling. Is this on closed session, Beth?
I can't hear you, Beth.
Beth is gone, so you have no speakers on the closed session item.
Okay, so we will go into closed session and we'll return at 7 o'clock for a lot of items. Thank you.
Turn this on, please. Philippe, are we live? Okay.
We're missing some, yeah. Jim. Okay. Hello, good evening, everybody. Hi. Hello, everybody. We're going to start our meeting. If you could keep your conversations down. Thank you very much. We are back from closed session with no reportable action. And so the next on our agenda item is the Pledge of Allegiance, and we are hoping that our wonderful scouts here could lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Everybody stand. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, and since it's the first council member after the first council member meeting of the month, we get to do our land acknowledgement statement. So we acknowledge that Lafayette is part of the unceded ancestral homeland of the Bay Miwok people. The Bay Miwok and neighboring Ohlone people have lived in and moved through this place for thousands of years. They stewarded it and shaped this land for hundreds of generations. We express our appreciation and gratitude for this profound legacy, which enhances and contributes to our lives to this day. We will strive to honor this land and strengthen our ties with the indigenous communities that continue to live and work in our East Bay region as our neighbors and community members. We acknowledge and honor them and their ancestors, elders, and next 7 generations. All right, thank you. All right,
Mayor
next,
Candell, we have a speaker on this item.
excuse me,
We have a speaker on this?
on the land acknowledgement. Oh, excellent, all right.
Okay, Mary Avante.
Welcome.
Uh,
Get the,
Mary, just wait a minute, I'll get your mic hot.
you're on.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm Mary Kate Ivanetich. I'm a legal assistant, and it has come to my attention that we are honoring the Miwok, Bay Miwok Indian community and the Ohlone Indian community. Are these Indian nations? Are these two groups legally called Indian nations? Were they with the group of Indian nations that refused to become U.S. citizens and declared war on the United States of America and lost that war and were put on reservations known as prisoner of war camps? And is that the same group? Are
It's not
these prisoners
we
of war?
can't discuss the topic.
Oh.
We'll take your comments and we'll listen, we'll try to get back to you.
Very good then, because I would like to establish what is the legal status of these two groups? And who are their attorneys before we vote to give them any more property than a place in a prisoner of war camp? Thank you very much and have a good day.
Thank you. All right, so now we'll go to item 9, which is public comments for items not on the agenda. Do we have any public comments? So if you are commenting on something that's actually on the agenda, I will pitch in and tell you to wait until that agenda item.
Well, we may have some crossover here.
Yes.
So our first speaker is Lori Zucker.
Good evening, all. Thank you for being here. I just have 2 words for the council and everybody else here. Ashley Diaz. We all remember what happened to Ashley Diaz. Actually, I have 4 words: Vision Zero. In November of 2021, the council adopted Vision Zero, which is designed to design and operate transportation system that makes mistakes less severe. You said that you're committed to prioritize and address safety on the city's roadways. And I went because you adopted a local roadway safety plan. But when I went to click the link, there was nothing there. And then I saw that there was a link to a safe system approach. Click the link, also nothing there. So my concern is the protest that is happening right
That's
now.
an agenda item later on the agenda.
I understand
So we
that.
keep our comments away from that, that's fine.
I'm not addressing the free speech element of it. I am addressing.
I think that you're crossing a line. And so let's keep all the items on safety purely.
What is happening there is creating an unsafe condition.
Okay, I think I'm gonna have to make you come back if you can't divert.
Spoke to the crossing guard.
I think you should save the rest and have another public comment on that item that directly reflects
Okay, my
exactly what's
understanding
happening on that corner.
Was that that item was about the free speech element
It's
of
all,
that.
but it is about that. And you're talking about that.
So
correct?
it's
Okay, if you
all
can
that.
wait- yes.
It's traffic safety, it's free speech, it's time, place, manner.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
I think our next speaker might have the same issue. Jen Redmond, do you want to defer your comments to item 14B?
Understood. And I'll just keep, thank you for being here. My comment will just be that to this point, that I hope that the council will follow through on the commitment that I have heard and seen in the past about pedestrian and motorist and cyclist safety, especially in the areas that are, where our schools are, where there's a lot of pedestrian traffic and children.
Thank you.
No additional speakers at this time.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much.
Are you speaking on 14B or?
No, I'm speaking on items not on the agenda.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Rob.
And Katie Foreman, who's in the audience, has ceded time to me as well.
Okay.
All right, thank you. A month ago, I spoke here on behalf of the city funding for our Communities Crossing Guard program, hoping the City Council would initiate an action-oriented discussion about that topic. I again respectfully urge the Council to take seriously the city's responsibility for off-site traffic safety and provide dedicated funding for the Crossing Guard program. To be clear and to reiterate, school districts have no legal responsibility for off-site traffic safety. That obligation rests squarely with the city. When the city effectively seeks to shift this duty and responsibility to the Lafayette School District by action or inaction, the city not only fails to meet its own duty, but also creates affirmative exposure for the district that would not otherwise exist. This is fundamentally unfair, particularly given the district's severe financial shortfalls and ongoing multi-billion-dollar structural deficits. Since my earlier comments, I have confirmed my expressed understanding that the city previously had full responsibility for crossing guards. Prior to the 2002-2003 fiscal year, the city fully bore all costs under the police services budget, account 11-210, as noted on page 79 of the city's own 2021-22 proposed budget. Furthermore, in a staff memorandum dated January 14, 2019, it was acknowledged that the city retained full accountability for the crossing guard contract through the 2014-2015 budget year. Ironically, that same memorandum recommended that the city should not commit to funding even 50% of the program going forward because it, quote, had no control over the contract and therefore no control over the ongoing costs. That concern over control is both understandable and easily resolved. The city can and should resume responsibility for the crossing guard contract and enter into an agreement, whether informal or through a memorandum of understanding, wherein the school district would perform operational aspects as it has for many years. The Lafayette School District's Budget Advisory Committee, comprised of parents, teachers, administrators, and staff, recommended this outcome in its recent 2025 Budget Reduction Advisory Report to the school board as a key means to help remedy the district's significant ongoing structural deficits. The Crossing Guard program and the city's funding for it are not new programs. It's a long-standing public safety service that allows our community's children to get to and from school safely. The city funded it in the past, and respectfully, the city has the legal and moral responsibility to fund it now. Crossing guards are one of many tools in the city's arsenal for managing its circulation and safety duties on the city's roads. Furthermore, the city is best suited to assess whether the current program is right-sized or could perhaps be modified, as the program has admittedly expanded since the city had control. I urge the council to make this a priority and take the necessary steps to fund the crossing guards, even if simply as an interim transition while the school district faces severe financial distress. Thank you for your time and commitment to the safety of our community.
Thank you. Would you introduce yourself and tell me if you are representing the...
My name is Rob Sturm, 3343 Oak Court. I am here as an individual. I happen to be a member of the Lafayette School District Governing Board.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you. Any other public comment?
No additional speakers.
All right, thank you.
I have a couple of speakers in the virtual audience, and I'm not sure if they are on items that are not on the agenda. So Beth Bourne, I'll allow you to speak, but if this isn't your item, please let us know.
Hi, this is Beth. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so I'm here speaking on public comment. And I'm hearing an echo. I'm gonna try
are
to
too.
figure that out. So I'm here to talk to the council about the data and the California Healthy Kids Survey for Lafayette Unified School District. And in the demographics section, you'll see under 8th grade that 3% of Stanley Middle School students identify as non-binary or something else. Can you help me? And if you go on to the next page, page 6 for Stanley Middle School.
We can't hear you now.
Oh, you can't hear me. Okay. So if you go to the next page, you'll see that under the question, are you transgender? That 8% of 6th graders at Stanley Middle School believe they are transgender. So in total, at Stanley Middle School in the city of Lafayette, you have 10% of 6th graders believing they're transgender or non-binary. So my question for you as a city council is why are you promoting this social medical scandal? I was a lifelong Democrat until the left was taken over by this insane idea that biological reality no longer exists. I'm hopeful none of you on the city council would be so gullible that you would
Excuse
fall
me,
for
ma'am,
such a
ma'am.
ridiculous idea that a child could be
I think
born in
this
the
is
wrong
not under our
body.
purview. It's not our purview as a city to oversee
So
what
as a city
happens at the
council,
elementary school.
your job
And I
is
think
to
we're going to cut
protect
you
the
off. Thank you,
children
ma'am.
of
Thank
your
you.
community.
Thank you for your comments.
No additional speakers at this time?
Thank you. Hi, thank you guys for being patient. All right, city managers update.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and council members and members of the audience. This is the bi-weekly update on the activities of city departments. From engineering and public works, we've begun working on the 2026 capital improvement program, along with an updated 5-year paving program. The updated 5-year paving program is more robust. We're bringing it to you later in next month, because we will be able to keep our roads in very good condition with a pavement index of 75 or higher. And we're going to be using the Measure H, asking for the use of the Measure H sales tax monies to fund the CIP. It's coming to you on May the 12th. For over 30 years, not many people know this, but we've had a contractor, Pacific General Engineering, who has functioned as our supplement to Public Works, and they have done everything in Lafayette, from patch paving, repairing storm drains, speed humps, guardrails, everything you can think of. Well, they are closing shop, and I just wanted to give Jim and Jeff a shout out for serving this community well. From Parks, Trails, and Recreation, the Day of the Bunny fun event this weekend is sold out. Families are encouraged to sign up early for the family dance, which is on May 2nd, because there's a good likelihood that that will be sold out as well. And work is beginning on planning for the Hamlin Parkland, and residents are encouraged to follow the Parks, Trails, and Recreation Commission e-notifications, as we will be soliciting public input to design Hamlin Park. From the Public Art Committee, the committee is kicking off the installation of its first public mural project, and everyone is invited to the workshop this Wednesday, April 16th, from 4 to 6 p.m. at the city offices to share your input on the work of the 3 muralists that are being considered. And finally, if you are wondering why the outdoor park dining spaces on street in front of Batch and Brine and Pizza Antica are gone, and here's the reason. The property owner informed the city that they were no longer interested in the additional dining spaces, and as a result, they removed their dining chairs and tables, and we removed our decorative barriers. But I want to let people know that our outdoor dining program using on-street parking is still in place and is in place until January 26th. So should other restaurants be interested, please contact the city offices. And that's the end of my report.
All right, thank you. Do you have any questions? Any public comment on the city manager's report?
None, Mayor Kendall.
Great. All right, we'll move on to presentations. And Tracy for the Park Theater Trust.
Hello, can you hear me? Can you? It's all right. Okay, great. Thank you.
Not really.
Not really?
Yeah. There we go.
Okay. Hello, there we go. Sorry. Honorable Mayor Kendall and esteemed council members and staff, thank you very much for this opportunity to update you all on what has been and continues to be the remarkable journey of the Park Theater's rebirth. My name is Tracy Farrell, and I currently serve as CFO of the Park Theater Trust. I'm a 40-year resident of Lafayette, and my family has many wonderful memories of attending shows at the park. I'm joined tonight by Peter Berkowitz and Adam Winnig of ArcSign. There are other members of our trust and our board certainly present and watching from afar. Kathy Bowles, our president of our board, is in Portugal. which is a great vacation, I will say. Anyway, you certainly know what we are all about, having basically created us in 2018, so I needn't go into that detail. And in a moment, Adam will share with you the approved plans for the new Park Theater, but for my part, here's a snapshot of our current path to reopening. Tremendous headway was made last year. We raised $1,803,200 in donations, plus an additional $496,375 in pledges, bringing the total to $2,299,575 raised in 2024. We finished the year with 532 donations in total. Interestingly, 25% were from outside the 94549 zip code, which is strong affirmation of our belief that reopening the park will impact not just La Marinda, but the entire East Bay. Funding for the purchase of the theater and for the renovation has come from individuals, businesses, corporations, the Community Foundation of Lafayette, the Lafayette Chamber of Commerce, family foundations, and civic support. To date, over 1,000 people have donated to the park's renovation efforts, and we are deeply gratified by this outpouring of support. Pro bono and in-kind support has been very impactful and is increasingly critical to our budgeting process. Every donor dollar is precious, and wherever we can, we're turning to the community for their help. I want to make a special shout out to Sunrise and Lafayette Rotary Groups, Eagle Scout Clark Lasky, who refurbished our vintage marquee letters, the Deutscher family, who's providing our storage for our artifacts, Douglas Designs, the law offices of Bowles and Verna, Rev Bistro, Hideout Kitchen, and Steve Paulsev Minuteman Press, who they've all supported us in ways that have allowed us to get as far as we've come. We certainly will continue this important outreach for support and materials as construction gets underway. Over $10.5 million has now been raised towards the park effort, but we still have about $2 million to go. Please remember the Park Theater Trust has no investors in this project, and our hope is to fund the project entirely from community donations. That being said, we will seek some kind of financing if need be to stay on track for reopening in late 2026, which is the year of the park's 85th birthday. You've seen the construction fencing go up, and what a big step that was for all of us. Here's what is happening. At every turn, we're doing our best to be sustainable. Thanks to Sunrise Rotary, over 200 theater seats were dismantled, stacked, and tagged for myriad new destinations. Over 100 went to Benice's Majestic Theater. Another 100 were distributed to various folks in the community to use in photography studios, front rooms, home theaters, and even at a future wine camp at next year's Burning Man. One chair is now at the Lafayette Historical Society, and this is on top of the 100 chairs that were purchased by a Hollywood prop shop last July. Almost all vintage artifacts that will be reused in the new park, like the gorgeous Art Deco wall sconces and the teardrop lobby lights, keep going. There we go, sorry. And metal-filled cabinets have been removed. Next one. The lights are at a restoration house now. The cabinet's still in place but protected, and they'll be removed when access is improved. The original 35 millimeter projectors proved to be too costly to be refurbished, but they've been saved for the Historical Society and for future display at the park. Our operator, Cinema SF, already has the exact same 35 millimeter projectors in pristine condition. Prior to the actual renovation, the decades-old neon gas will be decommissioned and all glass tubing removed from the marquee and tower to be safely stored for its reuse. Neon Works of Berkeley, the craftspeople behind the Castro Neon renovation, as well as the park's sister theater, The Lark, among many others in the Bay Area, will be doing the full restoration of this iconic tower. Last Friday, hazmat abatement began and interior demolition will follow immediately after. Concurrently, construction drawings are being finished with preliminary sets already with the fire department, Central San, and the Public Health Department for initial review. Final plans, hopefully with the required stamps, are on track to be at the county offices by May 1st. Once reviewed and approved, with building permit in hand, we will begin the renovation. We anticipate a September start date, if not before. I want to close with a heartfelt thank you to you all. We've had the wonderful guidance and support from city staff and council for the last 6.5 years. And on behalf of all of us who make up the Park Theater Trust, which in fact, as DPTT owns the park on behalf of the community, is really all of Lafayette, we are so very grateful. And now I'll turn it over to Adam, our architect who has helped us realize this community vision. And after his remarks, we welcome your questions.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to present tonight. I'm going to go through the plans just to give everybody an update on where we are. And if anyone has any questions, like Tracy said, we can jump into it. So this is the site plan. Hopefully you all can see this. The main move is that we're extending the back of the building about 22 feet. So if you all remember, the original Park Theater was a one theater movie house. The new program is going to be 2 theaters plus a community room and a rooftop bar. So by extending the building out about 20 feet, we're able to go from 1 theater to 2 theaters. This is a section of the building, and you can see that we're taking advantage of some of the space that was below the main theater, and we're using that for trash room, electrical room, some mechanical space, and some storage. This shows the large theater, which is still oriented in a similar manner that the original theater was. And then the second theater, the smaller theater, is actually rotated 90 degrees and goes the short width of the building. This is an existing plan of what was a basement, which was not very much underneath the main theater. And you can now see that we have a well-organized trash room, electrical room, storage room, and an elevator control room in the basement. The next level up is what we call the ground floor. So this is the old floor plan up here. You can see that here's the original ticket booth, which we are restoring. And here's the old doors to the theater. We're pushing those doors forward to line up with the back of the ticket booth to get a little bit more room in the lobby. And we're putting our concession area on this side. We're putting our bathrooms on this side. We have a small kitchen that will serve much more than just popcorn, and we'll be able to go right into an elevator up to the roof deck with food. We have a grand stairway that is underneath a skylight, so the lobby will get doused with natural light. As you come in, you come around the stairway and down a shared hallway where we're going to use some of the restored light fixtures in that hallway from the original theater. And then you're given your choice of either entering Theater 1, which is the larger theater. The main area in the larger theater close to the front has removable chairs for multi-programming. The smaller theater, which holds up to 49 people, also has 1 row of removable chairs for additional programming in that. As we move up 1 level, you can either take the elevator to a family changing room that's also accessible, or you can take the grand stair, and this is where your community room is. So that will be at the front of the building. It's going to have new windows on both sides, which look out to the existing roofs, but we're going to have plantings out there, so it'll be a little bit like looking into a garden. There's an additional set of restrooms here that can be used in conjunction with the community room. And then in between the 2 theaters on that level are the projection rooms. We're going to have the ability to show both digital and original film shows, so it's going to be really exciting. And then you can see both of the theaters that are essentially down below with double height spaces. As you continue making your way up the grand stair, you enter the roof terrace. You can do that again by elevator or stair. There's a small vestibule off of the elevator to protect you from weather. If you enter from the stairs, you come right out to the roof deck. It's also able to hold 49 people. It has a small bar and then freestanding sort of patio and loungy furniture. There's a partial height wall with planters that then protect you from both visual and some of the mechanical units that are up here, as well as a large array of solar panels to keep the building sustainable. So what is this all going to look like? We're doing our best to restore the front facade to its original character. So what does that mean? That means new Art Deco tiles to match what was there, restoring the original ticket booth, new bronze entry doors. with glass so you can see inside, new lighting underneath the marquee, all new neon like what Tracy talked about, completely restuccoing the entire building, all four sides, and completely revitalizing the marquee. As you walk in, this is the concession stand that's going to be on your left. This is a little pickup area for condiments, some area for movie posters. There's going to be a custom mural that I believe we're in contract with a muralist. The carpet is going to be similar to what those of you who went to movies 20 years ago might remember. We're using that as a little bit of an inspiration and a starting point, as well as some of the brass and terracotta and green colors. This is what it's going to look like in the large theater. We've gotten the maximum screen size, and we've been lucky enough to get Myers Sound System, who's also a community member, to donate their state-of-the-art sound system, which is only in, I think, Disney Studio in Los Angeles right now. I think we're going to be the second place in the United States with that level of sound. And this is the upstairs roof deck. So that's a quick summary of where this is going.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, you guys, thank you. I keep calling it our beloved Park Theater, and everybody goes, I know, we're so happy that Theater Trust took this on. I mean, you took this on. This is no, city financing. It is a completely public effort, and we cannot thank you enough. Do I have any questions from our council? Nope. No questions? Any public comments?
Mayor Kandel, I have no public speakers slips from persons in the hall, and I have no hands raised in our virtual audience. If you want to speak.
If you want to speak, grab
Fill out a speaker's slip, please.
a speaker slip in the back, the yellow speaker slips. And actually, why don't you come up and speak, and then you can go back and get that afterwards. Come up and speak, and just go back and fill it out and get it to our wonderful city
Hi,
clerk.
I'm Mary Ivanetich, and I am a long-term attendee of the Park Theater, being that I started going there probably on Saturday matinees when I was maybe 10 years old. And guess what? The admission fee was 25 cents. Okay, so now we're having this fabulous renovation. What is the admission fee going to be? Is it in my budget? In the children's budget, if they want to go there, How, because we have a huge investment and you're going to make it beautiful, but it was functional. And it was, I think, 25 to 50 cents for me. I just want to remind you that youngsters, I have a huge budget compared to what I had. Okay, my allowance was 25 cents a week. Okay, and now I am a retired person from the Bank of America. And I love Lafayette, and my parents invested in a restaurant in Lafayette called Petar's Restaurant. And unfortunately, we had litigation regarding that, our investments there, my parents' investments, not mine, my parents, and that was disagreeable. And then because Petar Jacovina, who was the owner, had investments from my father, Anton Ivanetich, and my uncle, Joseph Ivanetich, and they lived across the street from them in San Francisco. Since they were kids, okay? So this is some kids from San Francisco having a fabulous restaurant in Lafayette, California. And we don't know exactly how it changed into something called the cooperage, and Mr. Peter Jacovina has passed.
So
But
can we
I'm
keep
a
this on the
legal
Park
assistant.
Theater? Can we keep it back onto the Park
Oh,
Theater?
okay,
Thank you.
and I am from the Park Theater, 50 cents, how much you're gonna charge
All right,
us for that.
thank you.
Thanks for your investment.
Are we able to respond to that?
If you would like to.
I guess I would like to, because part of certainly the work that went behind the model was very much mindful of admissions and ticket prices. And one of the reasons that we, after much deliberation and with great input from the city staff and from the Chamber of Commerce, we selected Cinema SF, who runs the Balboa, the Vogue, and the Four Star theaters in San Francisco. is that their type of programming, they do dollar nights, they do free nights, they do pay as you can. They do tremendous fundraising alliance programs with the schools, with Alzheimer's patients. They do a very diverse offering. And one of the reasons the model has a commercial kitchen is that our our research showed that the concessions bring in close to 60% of a revenue to a theater, depending on, any given day. And that revenue allows an operator to have much more latitude on ticket prices. The theater will open at 3 o'clock, so the Stanley kids will now have some other place to go. And I think that everyone in Lafayette will find it to be very welcoming and affordable.
Thank you very much. And any comments?
Yeah, I might also supplement that by saying that the Park Theater Trust has been very generous in allowing the city and its commissions to use the Park Theater during the year for certain, well, there's an agreement on the amount of time we'll be able to use it, but that should be time that seniors, that youth would be able to use it at a very minimal cost, if any.
Yeah. Thank you, Carl.
No, thank you. Any other comments?
I just think this is so inspirational, what you all are doing. I mean, it's, what an asset for this community. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to the opening.
Thank you. Yeah, we are too.
Yeah, I bet. Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah, well, I've been lucky to be the council liaison to the Park Theater Trust, and it is an unbelievable, dedicated group of people. It's just amazing how much time they spent on this. This is, in my mind, so important to the community to have the theater back. It's just going to bring so much life to our downtown. It's going to be more than for the city. It's going to be for the East Bay. It's just a great thing. And everyone should be aware, you have people who've been working on this full time on this, and including our fellow council member, John McCormick, who's been full time on the Park Theater Trust as well.
Yeah, so thank you. Yeah, so I can just say as a member of the trust and seeing this even before I joined the council, the energy and the amount of time and dedication and selflessness of the board and the surrounding community is phenomenal. I might particularly shout out, I know Peter Bergowitz didn't have a chance to say much during the presentation, is on the board and heads our construction committee and is really giving great guidance as we go ahead with construction. And I want to augment just a little bit what Tracy was saying about over 1,000 people have donated. I see the donations come in. I mean, we have very large donations. We have donations of $5 and $10 of people telling similar stories about how they have these memories growing up and how special it's going to be. And as I say, I think it's special for Lafayette, not just what the park brings, but just as a way to just have additional businesses around the park, and they're sustained with restaurants and just really liven up that entire plaza area is going to be spectacular. So it's a tremendous honor to be part of the project, and I think the whole community will benefit.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right, go
I
ahead.
have one additional speaker after you're done.
Sure. I just
Oh,
want to say, I remember clearly the fall of 2018 when a small, passionate group of people came to a meeting, when another small, passionate group of people came to that same meeting. And
Can't hear you.
the persistence over these 7 years and the energy and motivation is so laudable. You know, it brings so much to the community, and it's going to bring so much, it's creating its own legacy. So thank you.
Thank you.
Kayla Gomez, speaker.
Hello. Good evening, members of the City Council, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kayla. I'm a field rep from the NorCal Carpenters Union, 152, that covers Lafayette. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I wanted to address the critical issue regarding the use of non-responsible developers and/or contractors. I just have one question. So the question is this project going to have any type of labor standards? And if so, what is the process of tracking them?
This isn't a back and forth question. Yeah.
If you could answer it, that would be great.
But if you're going to finish, is that your only question?
That was my
That's it. Okay. Thank you.
We're to respond to that, we're actually currently in the process of choosing the general contractor, and through that process, we'll have more clarity to answer that question.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Is that it? All right. So thank you. Thank you all. They're starting work, expecting to be done in 2026. We won't hold you to that, but
Please
you know,
do.
we can
Please
hope
hold
for
us to it. No, please do.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
All right, our next presentation is the Susie Pack, Community Outreach Coordinator for the Lamorinda Village, update on the Lamorinda Village supported memberships.
Okay, is that good? All right. All right, thank you. Thank you to the council and everybody here for giving us the time, Lamorinda Village, the time to give you an update on what has happened in the last, actually, year. This agreement was agreed upon 2 years ago, and I was here last year to give an update, and this is the final leg of that 2-year journey. All right. So tonight or this month actually marks the 10-year anniversary of Lamorinda Village. And I'd also like to point out that our executive director, Catherine Nishizu, was in the audience, along with board member Kay Ocker, and various and assorted members and supporters from the community. We know that there is no way that Lamorinda Village would be as successful as it has been without the support of the City of Lafayette, and we are deeply grateful for the partnership that we share with you all, as well as individuals in the community, businesses, institutions, and faith-based organizations. We are a community-based organization. We're a nonprofit, and we serve members through Lamorinda community, both members and just community members who are 55 and older. It's our belief that by providing support, connections, resources, that we are able to help and to promote healthy, independent living for those folks in our community who choose to do so in their homes for as long as they would like. So just as a reminder, for those of you who weren't here 2 years ago, March of 2023, the City Council, you all granted Lamorinda Village a $60,000 a year, commitment. And what was happening at the time is in senior services in the city of Lafayette, there was a retirement. And Jonathan Katayanagi had a great idea. He had worked with us through some volunteers and some different events, and had a great idea of, wouldn't it be great if we could expand the services that we provide to seniors in our community without actually spending more money? So instead of hiring a replacement for that retirement, he actually worked with us and with our board at the time to come together and also with Carl, to really work hard. And there were many different iterations, and we had many discussions. Where we finally netted out was the City of Lafayette agreed to pay for what we call supported memberships. Our memberships are $360 a year for an individual, and we recognize that that amount is not attainable for some people. So we put together a requirement for our supported membership, which you'll see on the slide, for an individual or a household that falls within a certain income level. We don't require financial documentation. We realize that financial information is a big, scary thing for all of us, and it's especially scary for vulnerable community members. So all they're required to do is fill out an application and to attest that they do qualify. We take that and we process that at Lamorinda Village. We then have sent it on to the City of Lafayette to receive their membership. And what that allowed us to do was to reach out and have, in a focused way, to reach those members of the community that may not know that we exist, and we may not know that they could benefit and partake in the services and programs that we offer. So in the last 2 years, we have received $98,000 from the city, and what that does is it covers annual dues for seniors in our community. And that does include all the residents that live in our senior housing communities here in downtown Lafayette, and as well as a number that live in other homes within Lafayette. As of the time that I put this report together, March of 2023, of the $120,000, about $22,000 remained untapped. And I'd like to just share, just from a personal perspective, that is what I spent my time doing. Once this agreement came into place, I actually moved from volunteer into part-time employee. And my job was to go out into the community and to find folks that we wanted to be a part of Loma Village. And that takes time, because the whole concept of an organization like ours is pretty novel. And the thing that I heard the most from folks was, it sounds too good to be true. What's the catch? So I had to do a lot of explaining, which I didn't mind doing, but it was still, it does take a lot of time. Also back in 2023, we realized that we needed to set goals for ourselves as how we were going to make an impact in the city of Lafayette. We came up with a list of 5 things that we really wanted to do. First of all, we wanted to get out there and show people and tell people what Loma Village was and what we do. By doing so, we hope to increase membership, therefore to increase the base, the diversity of the folks that we served, to have people of different backgrounds, they come from different parts of the country and actually the world. And with that diversity of our membership, we were able to really improve our programming, the types of activities that we offer, and also learn about different resources that we may not have found otherwise. Also, as another goal, is we recognize that as a very small nonprofit with a very tiny budget, we really had to rely on volunteer labor to achieve what we wanted to do. I just read a study that in 2024, 1 hour of volunteer time is worth about $34 an hour. So for every volunteer that we found that was willing to do something, we were saving ourselves $34, and we were able to reach more people. We also realized that people don't always want to become a member of a club. They don't necessarily want to pay dues. They don't want to make that kind of commitment. We wanted to ensure that the services and programs that we were creating and implementing would be available to many people, not just our members. So we wanted to make, as we were planning activities and planning programs and partnerships, we wanted to also include those who weren't members, but we're 55 and over. So how do we measure progress? These statistics were taken, I think the 2023 numbers were from June, which is when we really first started getting rolling. And the 2024 numbers come from December. And you'll see that we measured progress in different ways. Total number of members in our organization. We wanted to look specifically at the number of Lafayette residents that we reached. Supported Lafayette members, which is where you'll see the largest increase thanks to the City of Lafayette's investment in us. There's a significant increase in the types of activities that we provide to the community, events that we offered. And I think what is really inspiring to me is a number of participants that have actually taken part in the programs and services. This does not include necessarily, I think, volunteers. It does not include people that happen to be walking by that are part of the concerts or the other activities going on. These were the actual number of examples that we were able to capture in our data. In 2024, we were able to, because of the stability of the income that we were receiving from the city, we were really able to put together new and different programs that we weren't able to do before. I'd also like to point out that these programs came to us as a result of talking to folks in the community, members and non-members. We wanted to figure out, what do people want to do, instead of thinking, oh, I bet people would like to do this and maybe they'll show up. And a lot of these activities that you'll see on here, living solo, Spanish speakers, nitwits, strength and balance class, flower arranging, nutrition classes, these came as a result of people saying, I think we need this, I would like this, and I'm going to help you figure this out. And whether that meant I'm going to teach the class for free, I'm going to show up at the class, I'm going to tell my neighbor, my mom, my dad, my daughter, whomever, to be a part of it. That's how we were able to launch these things. We recognize that the folks that we serve maybe are new to the area. Maybe they have new life changes. Maybe they no longer have the ability, because they're retired, to have that casual social interaction that many of us have had throughout our lives. And they needed and would like an actual event or an activity that they enjoyed, to be able to come together with people that shared that with them, and to create new relationships and friendships. Here's some of the pictures from some of the things that we've been able to do. And this is how we're able to make connections with individuals. This is some of these, the first picture, this is Vicki, who's actually in the audience tonight. This is celebrating her birthday. And this is at the weekly Tuesday swell activity that we have at the library right across the way in the old cafe space. Every Tuesday morning from 10 to 12, we provide coffee, tea, hot chocolate, apple cider, lots of food, and really an opportunity to meet people from the community. This by far has probably been the most successful way to actually recruit new members. We have all kinds of people that love this library, and they come to this library from all over the county, even actually outside of the county. We had someone come from Castro Valley because she had heard about this, and they come because they want to just have they would like to meet new people. And in the beginning, we thought, oh, we're going to have activities and we'll do this and we'll do that. And probably after the first month, we realized we don't need to have anything organized, just a place with open doors that will welcome anybody that comes by. The second picture is a resident that lives over at Chateau. And what she's holding in her hand is a card that she received. We partnered with Lafayette Elementary School, and a lot of their students at lunchtime wrote, cards wishing folks that, have a great day, and they were delivered to Chateau. This individual received her card and was so touched by it, she immediately ran up to her apartment, brought those little packages of cookies, and she came back down and said, "This card made my day. I would like for you to give this to Kobe." And just the impact that a card that was made lunchtime recess had on this individual was really heartwarming. There's a charcuterie birthday cake for someone who doesn't eat sugar. There's a happy hour that we had in Moraga, and down below is a picture from the Nitwits Knit Group. We also have implemented some of the newer or some of the group activities that we talked about. This is a great partnership that we have with Lafayette Christian Church on the trail. They wanted to partner with us. We did summertime trail hikes. We met there. They provided the coffee, we provided the snacks, everybody met, congregated. We had 2 groups walking up and down the trail. Mahjong group, where we learned how to play Mahjong. We partnered with the Spirit Van, and every month, once a month, we take the van from the library, from Swell, and people sign up through the Spirit Van. We go shopping at Costco, we've gone to Walmart, we've gone to Kohl's, to get outside of the Lamorinda area. There are lots of things outside of this zip code, believe it or not. And lastly, this is a great partnership that we share with Lamorinda Music. They have opened their doors. They've been so generous with Lamorinda Village, and we have held sing-alongs in their back room, for which we're very appreciative. How do we find the villagers? Well, there are lots of people that qualify as a villager. You don't have to be 55 plus. We are always looking for volunteers. These activities don't happen in a vacuum and by themselves or with mostly paid staff. So we are always talking to and looking for volunteers. Because what we did, one of the promises that we made with the city is we wanted to create a volunteer hub. So if folks wanted to volunteer, if you're a child, if you're 5 years old and you want to volunteer, or if you're 98 years old and you're a member and you want to volunteer, we want to make it easy for you. We have a volunteer coordinator who will do an intake and talk to you about your interests, what you'd like to do, what you can do, and maybe something you'd like to try and do. We have village ambassadors, and these are members who are so proud of the work that the village does and are so excited about it that they could either be official ambassadors and welcome new members, or what actually ends up happening is they just by word of mouth, they'll tell their friends, they'll tell their neighbors, and encourage them to come and join us. And lastly, one of the really great things that we've just done is along with the help of our staff, we've started an auxiliary, which is a dedicated core group of volunteers that helps us plan and implement some of the larger scale events. I know that some of you, most of you have been to some of our events, whether it's Afternoon of Gratitude or our 10th anniversary luncheon that's coming up later this month. That takes staff time. And with one full-time person and three part-time people, that takes away from their daily tasks. So with the auxiliary, which is a great group of volunteers led by two amazing community volunteers, they plan and implement. And that, again, it's $34 an hour. I think it's higher than that. But it allows staff to be part of it, but doesn't consume their whole week. And it's actually a lot of fun. And what ends up happening is these auxiliary members, these volunteers have such a great time being a part of the village. They actually bring their friends and encourage others to come and join. What are the challenges that we faced? Probably like most nonprofits, probably like the City of Lafayette, digital access and communication has been a major one for us. And for us, while a lot of people do have digital, they have smartphones, they have laptops, a lot of people do not. And so when you think about, oh, just send them an email reminder or just text them or just do this, that doesn't always work. So we are in the process of working on balancing that with also old school communication, which are phone calls, which are flyers on bulletin boards, things like that. Transportation limitations are also a challenge for us, but it's one that we take on full force. A lot of our volunteers drive and have been trained through La Miranda Spirit Van. We have a great relationship with Ricky and the staff there, where they will gladly train our volunteers. We do the background screens, and they become sort of dual volunteers, both with the village and also with the Spirit Van. Emergency preparedness, every member receives an emergency go bag. And we have also helped with, clearing out of rain gutters, along with the help of different scout troops and along with the Rotary, to help seniors who live in their own homes that may need a little extra guidance. While the staff at Chateau and Belterre are terrific and super friendly and helpful, they work very limited hours. And we also have the challenge of staffing turnover. In the 2 years that I've been doing this work, I've worked with probably 4 different people. And that's hard because that's our literally inside the building. Luckily now we know we have members who are really excited and live there, so we're able to work with them. But that is a big challenge. We all know that La Miranda is a very expensive place to live. So access to services is a challenge for all. And when we have limited resources, whether we're talking about La Miranda Village or we're talking about that of our members or seniors in general, we want to be cognizant of that. And we want to also make sure that we are aware of what resources are available that exist and bring those in and share that information with our local folks. Looking ahead, what are our goals? So I know that Jonathan's going to do a presentation later tonight. And if we are able to continue this relationship, we would love to set more goals. We would love to continue to increase our membership. We would really like to focus on how can we get more volunteers to help drive folks to the doctors, do grocery shopping, things like that. We also, I've spent a lot of time in Lafayette working with different either businesses or organizations and churches to find space that's easily available and accessible to seniors. I have become much more aware in my work of what it means to have an uneven sidewalk, what it means to have enough handicap parking available. And so I'm always on the lookout for that. Flat driveways, well paved, no steps, and making sure that we plan that into the activities and programs that we offer. We want to do more intergenerational experiences. We want to continue to partner with the schools and partner with people of all ages. And we really want to continue to maximize our resources. And what I mean by that is a dollar is not just a dollar. In La Miranda Village land, we stretch it as far as it will go. Believe me, we do. And by really leveraging our resources and our partnerships and the relationships that we have made and strengthened, and I know that a large part of that has to do with the City of Lafayette's investment in us. It really has elevated Lamarinda Village and given us more credibility because you all believe in us. And I think as a result, together, we are continuing to develop a really thriving, age-friendly community. And so I just wanted to thank you all for your investment in us and for your belief in us and support. And I'm happy to answer any questions. I do know that there are some public comments as well.
All right, thank you. Another amazing example of fabulous things happening in the city of Lafayette. Does anybody have any questions?
Great presentation and inspiring. Quick question. It is. I'm just kind of curious. We have Lafayette, of course, but we are Lamarinda Village.
Yes.
I'm just curious how it works with Orinda Moraga. Have you reached out to those cities and kind of working together because we can kind of pool resources.
Yes. So
the status of that.
Yes. So we have members in all 3 cities. We have board members in all 3 cities and relationships in all 3 cities. I have worked with the city of Moraga and Orinda, and we're starting with their Parks and Rec departments because we feel like that would be probably I don't want to say the easiest because it does require a lot of coordination, but we have offered classes with the city of Orinda, and we plan on doing that in the fall with Moraga and Orinda. We feel like if we're able to provide free or very low-cost classes to the community, get our name out there, just like we have in Lafayette, we are hopeful that there is more to follow. So yes.
All right, thank you.
Thanks very much. It's really informative. I noticed you got Chateau Lafayette, Belterre. There are other communities with seniors in residence. I think of Merrill Gardens.
Yes.
On the boulevard. Is there outreach to them as well?
Yes, there is. We actually, we have someone here from Merrill Gardens tonight. They have been a great partner with us. We do monthly happy hours, and that also is open not just to members, but to the community. And Merrill Gardens, they were the first to actually agree to host us. And this was in November of 2023. And it was so successful. We normally are limited. Our happy hours are at restaurants throughout Lamarinda. We find a sponsor to help pay for the food, and it's open to 50 people. Merrill Garden said, we can host 75 or 80. And it was so successful that they agreed, we agreed to do it again. So we did it last November. So it's become an annual tradition. We've also done it with, Byron Park, Atria. So we are reaching out to senior communities.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? All right, we'll take public comment.
All right, our first speaker is Wayne Holiday.
My wife and I are Lafayette residents, and we came around to hear about Lamarinda Village because I sat at a table with Catherine, and I'm going, I'm not a joiner, but wow. And we're amazed, really, Susie, by everything that you all do. And one of the things that I realize more and more is that not all of our residents are wealthy. And it's not possible to live here on Social Security regardless of how many years you might have paid into it. And the other thing I'm realizing is that the United States in general is suffering from an epidemic of loneliness. And that epidemic leads to mental and physical decline. The social events of this organization is not only providing social contact. There's a personal help and support, as Susie explained. There's transportations, there's outings with free food, and sponsoring residents for when the dues are a hardship definitely helps build a healthier and happier community. And my wife and I urge this city council to move ahead with sponsorship. Thank you for the time.
Oh, thank you very much. All right, thank you. All right, any other public comments?
Yes, Vicky Kramer. To be followed by Miriam Gonzalez.
Hello, everyone. I'm one of the lucky seniors to live in Lafayette and to take advantage of La Miranda Village and all they have to offer. They're such a wonderful organization. I came here from Southern California 3 years ago. My daughter moved me to Lafayette because she felt I was old enough to be close to my daughter. And so you come up to a place at 95, you can't make friends. Where are you going to go? So I have a little apartment on Lafayette Circle. And somebody told me started off with Spirit Van. And Spirit Van, a wonderful organization that has a lot of seniors taking you to places, and they figure out you give them a few days' notice, and they figure out what time you have to go somewhere and what time you have to get back, and they're able to figure all that out. And on the Spirit Van, one time, I met a lovely woman, and she told me about La Miranda Village at the library on Tuesday mornings. And a whole new world opened up for me. You come to this lovely place, Susie Pack is there, and Beth Brown, and they wine you and dine you, and the people come. And after a while, everybody gets to know each other. You get camaraderie. It's like the bar where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad when you come. And that's how it's worked. And the offshoot of that is you meet people, and then you form other groups. So then you meet somebody and say, oh, wonderful, you have low vision? Would you like to play bridge with low vision cards? And do you want to play mahjong? Do you want to go for a walk? Do you want to go out to lunch? So you get a network of people being together. And I tell you, for seniors, it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. Going for walks together. It's been, everybody I know who does not live in Lafayette is jealous, because it's a wonderful place for seniors. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right.
Miriam Gonzalez, to be followed by Mary Kurtzik.
Hello, everybody. I've been here in Lafayette for a little over a year. I came here to join my son, who's lived here for many years. And one of my concerns before I came, because after a certain point in your life, as Vicki pointed out, it becomes difficult to make friends and find activities that you can participate in. But I love to read, and I was going into your very beautiful library. I haven't seen too many libraries as nice as yours. And I happened to see this sign in front of the library that was advertising the Swell and La Miranda Village, and it said 55 and over, and had a little arrow that said over here. So after I passed it a couple of times, I says, you know what? I'm 55 and over. So I opened the door and I went in, and right away, it was like being home. It was a wonderful thing, and I've made wonderful friends, including Susie and Vicki and others, and that has made me adjust to living here in the way I hoped that I would be able to do. Susie did a great job of listing all of the activities that they provide and services that they provide. I just want to emphasize that they're really not just a list of activities. So they're a list of very great activities that everyone enjoys. And when you get that email that says, if you want to participate in this, you must register, you better do it right away. Because in another day or so, especially the ones that are limited numbers, there may not be any more space for you. So not only are there activities to participate in, they are things that everyone wants to participate in. They are lectures and activities and places that are useful to us. I don't think I would be able to find myself around if it weren't for these nice people who showed me where everything is. I also think that a sort of a secondary result of all of this is since that it gives a great deal of support to the merchants and the restaurants and the shops right here in this general area, because that's where they take us, and they make us aware of all of the places that we can shop in and the restaurants that are great and what tastes good and what doesn't taste good. And I think that helps to the community to thrive and for people to live here comfortably and be happy here. Thank you.
No, thank you very much. And welcome to Lafayette.
Thank you.
Mary Kurtzik, to be followed by Beth Brown.
Hello, I'm Mary Kirsting, and I'm new to Lafayette. I came up about 5 months ago from Southern California, San Diego to be precise, and I've got to thank the library for telling me about this group of seniors that meet every Tuesday. So I followed that up, and it was very, very valuable. And some of the things that we do are strength and balance, and I can feel it in my legs that you really need something like this. And also, I participated in the free San Francisco Symphony, and I was hardly know where Bart was, but I was to meet a group, and we would go to the free symphony in San Francisco. And I got there at 7, and waiting, and the BART trains kept going by me. But finally, someone came up and said, "Are you from the San Francisco group?" And I said, I almost kissed her. I said, yes, I am. And then Andy and Carol came, and we all got off at the Civic Theater. I walked 4 blocks, and we participated in the watching the symphony. And it was very special because the woman that was the conductor also wrote the music. I was just higher than a kite, and I'm going to join the get a subscription and start in October, attended it. It was a very safe way to take Bart, go downtown, and be together. And I was just very blessed to have come across La Marinda Village. And my appreciation is for the wonderful things, the volunteers. Half the time, one will say, "Oh, I'm just a minute from you, I'll pick you up," and take me to an event or a happy hour. And it has allowed me to join a community that I am thriving mentally and physically, and it couldn't happen if it weren't for the donors here tonight. Thank you very much.
No, thank you. And again, welcome to Lafayette.
Beth Brown, to be followed by Lisa Thatcher.
Hi there, I am Beth Brown, and for those of you that know me, I could talk all day about something that I'm passionate about, but I won't. I just want to say that this program, I actually joined a year and a half ago when I turned 55. But really, I'm involved in it on the volunteering side. I work a lot with Susie. I am involved in Swell, which I love. And I also joined the auxiliary because we wanted to have a group of people that could help take the load off. And so I am super excited to be involved, but I wanted to say that it's just kind of an honor to be able to work in the community that you live in and support people. I do mission work in other countries, and this actually means just as much to me, if not more, because I can get out of bed and go help a neighbor. I was a single parent, and my kids are like gone in different places. And so for me, when you talked about isolation, I have it. I live alone. So when I get to be involved with these amazing ladies back here and this program, and I see the difference that it's making, I am so grateful to be a part of this community. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Beth, for everything you've done for us.
Lisa, I called your name in error because that's the next, you're speaking on another item. But I am going to have Cheryl McDonald join us. She's in our virtual audience. Go ahead, Cheryl.
Hi, this is Cheryl.
Hello, I can hear you.
Thank you. I've been participating in city activities for years, and I've heard of this group, but I didn't know very much about them. And I am loving hearing all these testimonies, and I think I'm going to tell a few friends about this. I am amazed at how much work everybody puts into this and the activities. I'm stunned and happy and elated, and I'm going to tell people about this. So I'm happy to be at a meeting where I can be so gleeful and be able to share something that is so wonderful in the city. Thank you.
No, thank you.
No additional speakers, Mayor Kendall.
All right. Susie and everybody else who is in the audience from Lamar Individuals, thank you very much for your presentation. We don't take action on this particular item. We were just using this as background information for a later item. But thank you so much for everything you've done. All right, to have a motion to adopt the consent calendar.
So moved.
Second.
Do we have any members of the public that want to pull anything on the consent calendar?
No, Mayor Kendall.
Okay, so all in favor of adopting the consent calendar?
Aye.
Aye. Any such? No, we are unanimous. I do want to say that there is a resolution for Lamorinda Village here that was on the consent calendar that I get to sign, and I need to get to, I think, Catherine? Okay, that I'll give to Jim to get to you. No, thank you very much. All right, thank you. All right, so next item, Jonathan from Parks and Rec.
Good evening, Council. I'm Jonathan Kadianagi, the Parks, Trails, and Recreation Director for the City of Lafayette. And following that presentation, my heart is full and my job is easy. Just as they do every day in delivering services to older adults in our community, Susie, Catherine, and their team made my job easy tonight by providing such a wonderful background. I want to acknowledge them and thank them for all that they've done to provide those services at really no additional cost. As Susie shared, we restructured the department, brought them in, worked out how the coordination was going to work, and really a big focus of what we wanted to build was volunteer coordination for the community. That is what we are going to need moving forward. That is what, as the senior service commission are working to create an age-friendly community, it's going to take a village to create that age-friendly community, and really it's been the backing of Lamorinda Village that's helped us to implement a lot of those programs. Senior Center has been a big focus for us for a long time. It's been a long-term goal for Senior Services Commission. The Swell Center is our first foray in that. They're really downtown delivering those services, creating a spot for older adults in the community. So we're just really happy to be working with them. In your packet this evening is my staff report that is based on a recommendation, unanimous recommendation from the Senior Services Commission to restructure the supported memberships for Lamorinda Village. Rather than go through the bureaucracy of having them fill out 2 applications and wait approval on whether or not we were going to fund them, send that to the village, have them send that back to us. we're working with the village to have them build the supported memberships into their sign-up process. So anybody who wants to become a member of the village, just as they do with our classes, will see that membership come up, and you have the ability to sign up for that as a program, just as we do in our recreation department, or like our senior services, where we have a discounted membership for some of our senior services programs. Supported memberships for the next 2 years could be just built into how the village operates. So on their applications, it will say their regular fees or supported membership that will be based on that same means test that we've been using moving forward with the village. The MOU that we're proposing allows for that to be built into the process and to fund the entire amount up front for the village. This allows Susie and her team to focus on delivering services. They're already doing a wonderful job. We can see what they're doing. But when we remove that element and we can just build promoting the village and their services into everything that we're doing and making it available for the community, it makes it a lot easier for them. It makes it a lot easier for us in the community center as we're working with senior services to deliver those services to older adults. And just takes that process out. It also provides for stability for them. Rather than having to go out into the community and sell the supported memberships, they will be able to know how much funding they have up front. They'll be able to staff and work to create programs of volunteers, knowing that that funding is available, and then they'll be able to go out into the community and just deliver those services. So this new structure really helps us to create a more age-friendly community through really putting that funding up front for them to deliver those services. We can do that this evening by moving staff's recommendation to enter into an MOU with La Miranda Village, who has also offered to send Susie to our Senior Services Commission meetings to also stay in touch with what we want to deliver for age-friendly services through the Senior Services Commission, and to provide a feedback loop. We have the community center as a resource that we can use to help provide programming. We have our own halftime coordinator that's delivering senior services. We have Ricky with the Spirit Van who's here this evening. That continued collaboration, it's just going to build better services for the rest of the community. So my recommendation this evening is to move staff's recommendation, establish a 2 years of funding at $70,000 a year to make supported memberships available to any Lafayette residents that qualify under that means test. And I'm happy to answer any questions for you this evening.
Great, thank you. Thank you for a wonderful presentation. Your staff report was excellent. Any questions from council members?
Just a quick question. This is for, obviously, thank you very much, Jonathan. The program is terrific. Have you guys looked at the means testing? What do we expect that? Do we think that that should be adjusted? Do we think it needs to be lower? Are we still pricing people out that might otherwise want to do it but feel like, they're just a little house poor or whatever? What the analysis has been on that?
So we have moved that bar year to year because we use the county's numbers. So there is a minor adjustment there each year, just so we're staying on par with what the county is doing. But beyond that, we haven't had that demand. We actually have some members because the price of the village is relatively low for some. We have some people that may qualify that also decide that they still want to support and that have decided to sign up that way as well. So it hasn't proven to be a problem at this time. It's something that we might be able to reassess at the 2-year mark, but we haven't gotten any comments to that to date.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, we'll go to public comment.
No public comments on this item, Mayor Kendall, and I have no hands raised in our virtual audience.
Wonderful, thank you. Okay, all right, so go on to recommendations. Vice Mayor Andre.
Okay, I will move the staff recommendation, and we'll just say that Councilmember Dawson and I have the privilege of being the liaisons to the Senior Services Commission, so this has been a great night. It's wonderful hearing from La Miranda Village about all they're doing. When the Senior Services Commission began this collaboration 2 years ago, I think it's fair to say the Senior Services Commission had no idea how successful this would be. But it's just been the upward trend in terms of the amount of services that are being provided to seniors in Lafayette. It's just a wonderful thing to see, and I'm very excited about this restructuring, which I think is going to make it easier for the collaboration to move forward. It'll be easier for Loma Linda Village to provide the services. We'll reach more people. So I think going to be very exciting to see what happens over the next 2 years. So again, I move the staff recommendation.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
Any other comments? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. We are unanimous in support of your recommendation. Thank you so much. Yes.
Thank you for your ongoing support.
All right, now we're on to item 14A. We've got James Williams, our new police chief, and our city attorney, Mala Sobranian.
Thank you, Mayor Kendall. I will start off the staff report, and then I will pass the baton to our new police chief. As you are aware, since last year and in the last several months, we have received complaints about individuals gathering in front of Lafayette Elementary School on Moraga Road. These individuals are directing their message to students and parents that are entering and leaving school. We have received numerous concerns about safety and the well-being of the children, as well as the potential dangerous conditions related to traffic and vehicle safety. The city has been asked to consider numerous regulations or prohibitions related to these protests. We have been asked to consider a regulation that would prohibit protests within 25 yards of the schools during a 30-minute window before and after school pickup and drop off. In addition, we've been asked to consider a protest-free zone, which would be a 2-block radius from school sites that would prohibit protests occurring within 1 hour of drop-off and pickup of when schools are open. And then last, I think you have also received requests to consider what's considered a bubble zone, which is an ordinance that the County of LA is considering. I haven't seen that they have yet to adopt it, but the City of San Diego has adopted a similar ordinance. These bubble zone ordinances are ordinances that are trying to mimic or copy a regulation out of the state of Colorado related to reproductive health care facilities and the ability to prohibit individuals from approaching another person who might be entering a healthcare facility or exiting a healthcare facility within an 8-foot radius of that individual without their consent. So the U.S. Supreme Court has permitted that as it relates to healthcare facilities. These bubble zone ordinances are extending this requirement to religious institutions as well as school sites. So you've been asked to consider these 3 potential regulations. I want to stress that the city is committed to balancing free speech rights as well as protecting our community members and being able to enjoy safe and peaceful places. With that in mind, your ability to regulate these type of protests are typically restricted to reasonable time, place, and manner restrictions. You've probably heard that term used quite a bit. That means that any restriction you might adopt needs to be content neutral, cannot be based on the content of the speech. It needs to be narrowly tailored to serve the city's significant interest in ensuring safety and convenience of the community members that are using the public forum, in this case, the sidewalk, and it also needs to leave open alternative channels for the message to be communicated. Given the time, place, and manner restrictions that are required by the Constitution, I do have concerns about the first 2 suggestions that have been made related to protest-free zones within the radius, whether it be 75 feet or 2 blocks of the school site. I do have concerns about the ability to defend that successfully. The bubble zone ordinance has been adopted, I think, as I mentioned, by the City of San Diego, and they are currently in litigation over that ordinance. The city has successfully defended it at the district court level. It is being appealed to the Ninth Circuit. Again, they did their best to mimic the ordinance that the Supreme Court had approved in 2000 related to healthcare facilities. So I think that will work its way up through the courts. And if that is something the city is interested in adopting, I would encourage us to see how that litigation plays out. And if the city is successful in defending it, that could be something that the council considers adopting. I do want to stress that we still, and this is more in our police chief's realm, will be committed to making sure pedestrians and vehicles have safe access to the school and that the ADA regulations are complied with. And with that, I will turn it over to our police chief to talk about enforcement issues.
All right, thank you, Molly. Good evening, City Council. My name is James Williams. I'm the police chief here. And so regarding the enforcement on this matter, the police department received about 170 phone or calls for service in the vicinity of Lafayette Elementary School located at 950 Moraga Road. And that area between Moraga at Brook, and Moraga at School, that's over the last year. And during those calls for service, only 30 were related to protest-related calls for service. Only 3 of them happened this year in March, none of which generated a police report. Officers responded to that area and conducted an investigation, and there was no criminal activity that occurred. There was peaceful protests that were occurring. The majority of the reports for service happened last year, mostly in March and April. And of those 27 remaining, 3 of them generated police reports. Lafayette Police Department remains aware of the ongoing demonstrations and is committed to maintaining public safety for all members of our community. We continue to work closely with individuals on all sides of the issues to ensure their right to free speech is respected and protected. At the same time, we will not tolerate any violations of the law, and our priority is the safety and well-being for all residents, the students, and of course, our visitors into Lafayette. We encourage everyone to express their opinions respectfully and within the boundaries of the law. That's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. I couldn't hear you really quickly before we get to other questions. You said that most of them were last March and April, but none of them were raised to an actual police report or anything beyond. You had calls, but no report was generated.
So this year, there have been 3 in March. None of them generated a police report, just
The
a
ones
response.
last year.
So last year in March and April, there was a majority of the other ones. And of those calls for service, 3 resulted in a police report.
Thank you. That was, I didn't hear
You're welcome.
quite well. Thank you. All right, let's go to, I'm sure we have lots of questions. Okay, Vice Mayor, please.
Okay, I have 2 questions for the city attorney. First, is it your understanding that the the Los Angeles ordinance that we've heard about in public comment is modeled on the San Diego ordinance?
I have not seen the LA ordinance. I see the documents that are asking for the county council to draft the ordinance. I've looked at the LA County's website to see the ordinances they've adopted since that August 2024 date, and I don't see it as an adopted ordinance. But from the paperwork I have seen, it looks to be like they're trying to adopt a similar ordinance to the city of San Diego.
Okay, and just to make sure we understand what that San Diego ordinance says, my understanding is that if an individual is on a public sidewalk in front of a school with a sign standing still, they're in compliance with the ordinance.
Yes, as long, if an individual,
Standing
correct.
still.
Standing still is correct.
Okay, the ordinance prohibits them from approaching within 8 feet of an individual.
Without their consent.
Yeah, the individual can walk within 8 feet of them, but they can't approach the individual. But again, if they are on public property next to a school with a sign and that's it, they're in compliance with the ordinance.
That's correct.
Okay.
And that's, again, trying to match the Hill versus Colorado case, which had similar language, which felt that that 8-foot distance still gave the right to communicate and could be heard, but that otherwise consent was required to approach.
Okay, thank you.
So, thank you very much. The question for the city attorney, I guess, would be the examples you gave, the LA and San Diego. Are those the only examples? I mean, I seen when we heard some of the public comment. The indication was, well, the kind of the time, place, and manner restrictions is, I don't know, customary, but certainly this is how you do it. Are there any examples of that happening in our kind of situation other than the ones you mentioned?
The cases I've found are really related to these reproductive health care facilities. And so that's why you have these US Supreme Court cases that discuss it. And then cities have adopted ordinances, again, specific to reproductive health care facilities. They have now expanded them to other protected facilities such as religious institutions and schools. But I haven't seen just blanket prohibitions unrelated to these examples that I'm mentioning. And so not to say that they're not out there, but I also, this could be a case that could be litigated and could be costly. So I want to caution the council and the public on that.
Thank you.
Councilor Smarties.
Thank you, Mayor Kendall. So maybe a couple of questions, and not to bang the nail in too much further, but with respect to what we just talked about. So this bubble zone concept may be something that works because it was structured to navigate a Supreme Court ruling, albeit it's someone standing there holding a sign and not approaching people, as I understand from the recap. But something more expansive where we said, we're going to create a 50-yard zone around a school or the entrance of a school where there's no protest of any kind. That, in your view, we're more on more tenuous grounds there. Is there case law to support that?
That's my concern. I think I don't have anything I can point to like these other cases that I can say the Supreme Court has upheld that type of ordinance or
It might be helpful to get more clear guidance on that. The other question I have is for our police chief, which is traffic safety, especially around schools, is a huge concern in this community. Someone mentioned Ashley Diaz earlier, which is like our community nightmare. And things are hectic enough around these schools in the drop-in, drop-off period without further additional distraction. Is there any, outside of like anecdotal, something that's anecdotal, is there a way to get a handle on the traffic safety part of this? Because that's a real concern. I'm concerned about the parents and the kids and just having the extra commotion. Is there a way to, how could we try to figure that out somehow? I mean, we have traffic enforcement folks who would kind of know what to do more than I would, certainly. Just some thoughts here.
Sure. Yeah, thank you, sir. So I spoke with a motor officer before I came over here to find out if there have been any traffic accidents in front of the school in the last year. Based on that, we couldn't find any specifically related to the protest activity. I believe the school speed zone there is 25 miles an hour anyway. He said he is there most mornings, that he is on duty in the morning there and conducting traffic enforcement. It's something I can look at and try to get some information for you. Sure, I understand that can be distracting. So can other street signs and other things that are on the side of the road. So.
Yeah, I would think we're not the only community that's kind of dealing with this. Maybe there are other police departments that have sort of like tried to figure that out too. It's just like, how do we get our hands around it is part of what I'm trying to sort through, because it is a concern. I mean, fundamentally, that's, to me, the key issue is the safety of those children and their parents. So.
Sure, absolutely, sir. I agree with you. We want everyone to be safe, 100%.
Questions? No? Yeah, I have a couple. And I want to I'm going to ask you some point blank questions because I think they're going to come up and I want people to hear your answers for these first. So can we stop protesters from blocking families from entering school grounds or block pedestrian or vehicular traffic?
Yes, if anyone is blocking the entrance of the school, that is something we can already deal with.
And is that the nature of the 3 incidences last year? What was the nature of those reports?
The nature was a battery that had taken place.
Okay.
And a theft.
Okay, so nothing was blocking families from entering school grounds?
Not to my recollection on those.
Okay, thank you. And then, so if families or other people document restrictions in the flow of pedestrian or vehicular traffic, does that count? Or is it your law enforcement officers that have to see it to make it count?
We'd have to see it, and we would.
So you would have to see it?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, great, thank you. I've had other people say, hey, would there be a difference in this case if the protesters were just on the other side of Moraga Road and not on the side right next to the school? Would that make a difference in the safety and blocking pedestrians or anything?
That's hard to answer that question.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Can we cap the number of protesters?
As it relates to blockage of the street and those restrictions,
Sure.
I think we could consider doing that, but I don't know that, I would caution that I don't know that we've had that issue of blockage of the street. But if that's the concern, that's something we can look into.
Okay, thank you. Somebody was talking about the noise ordinance. Do we think there's enough evidence that protesters have violated the noise ordinance? It seems like the noise is really high there. The background noise is so high. Do we think that there's been any violations of the noise ordinance?
The research I've done, speaking with the sergeant and officers who've responded to that, is from my understanding is the protesters are holding signs, and there's not chanting, there's not noisemakers. It's just them standing on the street holding signs.
Okay, cool. Do we think that there's evidence that the protesters or even counter-protesters have violated our sign ordinances? Or if so, what kinds of signs would be banned that would be affected by our sign ordinance?
Unless you have
Sorry.
We've had incidences where some of the signs have been placed on vehicles and it has impacted like line of sight issues. So that, I think, has been addressed in the past. I think that happened in 2024. I don't know that that's happened this year. So that has been addressed when that occurred.
Okay, so if somebody's holding a sign,
Correct.
there's nothing.
There was no violations of just holding a sign or having it leaned up against an individual that I'm aware of.
And I just want to say
Yeah,
for the
please.
record, last year, there were signs affixed to the public fence across the street. And that was an enforcement issue, but it was taken.
And that's all, and fixing it to the fences there.
It was, it was affixed to our property, and so we had that removed. There was no permission to affix it to the city's property.
Okay, great. If we tried to pass something, any guess on how much it might cost? Guess.
And I think, Mayor Kendall, you're referring to passing something without waiting, for instance.
Or the San Diego
Yeah,
ordinance
for the
or
San-
something
like,
to
if
model
you
it after
were-
that.
If we were to wait for that San Diego litigation to follow through and get to the, US Supreme Court if need be, and you adopted something like that, I think we would be in a good position to adopt that. But if you wanted to adopt something else, or you wanted to adopt even the San Diego ordinance sooner, I think you would be looking at litigation, and depending how far it went, whether it just went to the district court, if it went to the Ninth Circuit, if it went to the US Supreme Court, the price is going to go up exponentially. So you're definitely looking into the six figures, higher six figures as we move up, and that's just for defense costs. If we were to lose, then you would also need to pay attorney's fees for the other side, which would definitely be quite expensive.
Okay, thank you. Those were my questions. Anybody else have any questions? All right, so I'm going to, hopefully my city attorney is not going to yell at me for this. I know emotions are high. I know we have differences of opinion about whether what people are saying on these signs, whether we like it or not. We have no way of enforcing any of that. And so if somebody starts to go too much of a tangent on what is on these signs or who is protesting what, I'm going to try to shut you down. I really want to keep this very objective and very helpful in terms of what people are seeing and not necessarily maybe how you feel about the content. If we can keep it away from the emotions, it would be a much more helpful conversation tonight. All right, so any public comment?
Mayor Kendall, maybe I could add to what you said.
Thank you, please.
Yeah, I think what you said about encouraging people to not, I understand the content is an issue, but the city council, any regulations it would adopt needs to be content neutral. So to the extent that members of the public cannot address that, I think that would be preferred, but we wouldn't shut down the comments. I think we would give people the 3 minutes to speak to it.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, we have a number of speakers. So our first speaker is Lisa Thatcher, to be followed by Lisa Deesbro.
Good evening, City Council members. My name is Lisa Thatcher. I am a proud US citizen. I was born in Indonesia, a country where minorities have very limited rights. When speaking up for what you believe in, often led to persecution. That's why I love being love being a US citizen. I love the freedom of expression. What I experienced recently, my freedom of speech was attacked by a parent of Lafayette Elementary named Lindsey Brown. She came in front of my face and two other people who were with me, Lisa and Rabs, and aggressively yelled at us and forced her way to take picture of us. Then later on, she lied on her Facebook page that we made the kids cry, which I didn't see any kids cry at all. If that's so, probably because of her loud voice, yelling and screaming at us. One person named Debbie Shantz demanded on the Facebook comment that our address should be published so she could protest at our homes. This is very concerning. I can't believe this is happening in America. We were there on the side of the street to make unaware parents and teachers of the potential damage the school could cause to our kids when they encourage their students to disregard the biological truths and act like they don't exist. We are there to protect children, not to harm them, and we never personally attacked anybody. On the contrary, we were always attacked by those who disagree with our messages. Public schools should be the place where parents send their kids to get educations on academics, not on ideology. It is not the place to indoctrinate our kids, and school needs to stop influencing and encouraging social transition on little kids without parental knowledge. It is not the teacher's job to determine what gender our kids should have.
Can I take a brief moment and pause that? That's not the purview of the city, is what the school teaches. It's not, right? We have no purview. We can't affect that. So if you could focus on things that are about your free speech.
Yes, it was our first speech was attacked. We were there to protect the kids, not to harm them. And we never attack anybody, but on the contrary, they attack us, not us. We sit there with our sign. We never approach anybody.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Lisa Disbrow, followed by Lori Zucker.
Good evening. I'm Lisa Disbrow. I'm the leader of the pack over there in front of Lafayette Elementary. Last year, we stayed exclusively across the street, and all three of the incident reports were crimes against me. I was the victim when they stole $800 worth of my signs. I was the victim when a man tried to steal my sign. I was the victim when a man assaulted me, and later I got his license and the police went to his address and he confessed and was arrested. So nice to meet you, sir. So all three of those incidents were where I was the victim. I have a policy that we respect everyone's right to free speech. We are nonviolent. We love the kids. We love the community. And I just want to say that it's really interesting because a year ago, basically, to the day almost, two other trans activists came to this microphone and said very specific and horrific lies about me, that I was trying to find pedophiles to come and harm children in Lafayette. And I want to say that it's also interesting that in the last, I think the first week where we were out there in front of the school, we stayed right by the red zone, which goes the whole length of that side of the street. And Superintendent Stevens came and thanked me for where I was standing. Also, there were many administrators out there, and they kind of babysat us during the morning. It was great because it kept everything calm and collected. And not one time did he need to call the police or interrupt any aggressive action. And I trust that had he seen something that was egregious, inappropriate, dangerous, he would have followed through, or any of the other administrators who are out there every morning watching us. It's kind of funny because I think what you're experiencing is a kind of kabuki theater approach where some of the trans activists like to invent things that have no basis in reality. The officers thankfully go up and down constantly. It's great. I'm standing there. I don't engage with anybody. If an adult comes over to talk to me, my first question is, do you want a civil conversation? That's it. I don't engage with the kids. I had a little girl, probably a fourth grader, approach me the other day, and she wanted to know what my sign said, and I said, "Where's your mom? Go talk to your mama." It's not my place to have that conversation. So I'm open to any questions you have. I know the history of this inside and out. I know the police reports inside and out. I know the officers inside and out. Yeah, it's
Thank
a
you.
problem.
Thank you. Do you have a question? What's that, Lisa? Here.
Quick question for you. You mentioned I just want to confirm, last year you said you were across the street from the school. Has that changed this year?
Yeah.
So this year you are on the side of the school?
Well, when you have people from the opposition standing in front of the school, standing on the school lawn, standing in the halls, and I have lots of videos and photos of them blowing up their multicolored, beautiful balloons to do an activity inside the school. So I have the same rights.
Laura Zucker to be followed by Ron Ottobury.
Or you can cede 3 minutes of your time to him?
Do you-
Yes?
Yeah, you have no minutes. Do you want to speak or?
Sorry.
It's 3 minutes.
You can speak too, though, sir. Yeah.
I'm not even sure where to start. Okay, so Ashley Diaz, Vision Zero. My understanding from what our city attorney said is that reasonable time, place, manner restrictions have to be narrowly tailored to ensure the town's significant interest in ensuring safety and convenience of the public. But that we can't deprive the people of reaching their target audience. Am I paraphrasing? Okay. One question I would have would be, who's the target audience? My understanding from speaking to Ms. Disbrow was that she objected to the district's policy on including trans awareness. If that's the case, then the target audience, I submit, would be the district, and the appropriate place for this protest would be at the district office, which would take it off Moraga Road. If the town is serious about Vision Zero, I would think that would affect the reasonableness of whatever policy was put into place, whatever ordinance was enacted. I am a little concerned because it sounds like reasonableness now is more informed by potential litigation costs than what we can do to protect our students and our community members from a disruption on the main artery in town. So I think the town needs to walk the talk on Vision Zero, and I think that is a real clear way to think about this. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you.
Ron. Ron will be followed by Jen McCarthy Redmond.
Mayor, council members, Lafayette residents, my name is Ron Otobre, and I am the crossing guard at Brook Street and Moraga Boulevard. Hi, Chief. And as all of you know, that is one of the busiest areas of traffic in Lafayette. And it is a challenging area to get kids across that street and safely to school every day. People run that light, they're on their cell phones, they're not paying attention. I've seen many, many close calls. I've seen a couple of rear enders that the police didn't have to come and take care of because they were minor, thank God. But this issue with the protesters being out there is a hazard because people are distracted. You know, people are taking their cell phones out to take pictures, taking their hands off the steering wheel to flip people off, to slow down, to talk to the individuals, which has happened many, many times. I consider that to be very unsafe and dangerous. And I'm only interested in getting the kids safely across the street. And last year, when the protests were on the other side of the street, it was not an issue. They were down the street. They weren't at that intersection. There's people going into that driveway that slow down. I mean, if you've seen people going to school in the morning, it's busy. People are always slowing down. They're stuck in the intersection. I'm very unhappy with the situation. And I personally, I see a lawsuit if somebody gets hurt. I got my job because my son volunteered me after Ashley Diaz got killed. So that's when I started. And we don't want that to happen again. That's all I have to say. Thanks.
Thank you so much. And I thank you for your service, sir. Any questions?
Yeah,
Ron?
Yeah, I just had
Back.
a quick question. I missed, maybe somebody on the council can answer. Which intersection are you?
Brook Street.
Oh, Brook, got it.
Right.
Okay, thank you very much.
Moraga Road, yeah. Those road names are weird. Yeah. No, thank you so much for your service. Very much.
Jen McCarthy Redmond to be followed by Stacy Erickson.
Hi, good evening. I'm Jenny. I'm a resident of Lafayette. I have children at Lafayette Elementary School and Stanley Middle School, and we've been using that intersection that Ron very amazingly guards for years, and it has always been a pretty scary proposition, that whole area, as everyone knows. It's a busy intersection. It's atypical in the way that the crosswalks line up and where the cars stop, and that having the entrance to the school parking lot, the Lafayette Elementary School parking lot right there. So on a great day, it is scary. And the sidewalks are right up against the streets where all this, there's big trucks, and we've seen the fire hydrant sheared twice. That's across the street from Town Hall, which is also right there at that intersection. So we know how close the cars come to the pedestrians. And I'm someone who was struck as a pedestrian in a different city, but have personally dealt with the impact of that. And I just, like Ron was saying, it is an unsafe situation right now. Their line of sight is obstructed for pedestrians and for cars. Certainly the cars are slowing down, looking at signs. I do not think there's any reason that there should be any protest, demonstration, any signage. That's not the right place for this. This is, my my child is one of the, one of my children is one of the children who has cried over the distress that this causes. So whether anyone else saw that or not doesn't matter. That's what happens. We're there every day. And I just really hope that we and you will take action to protect our crossing guards, our staff, our students. It is not a safe situation. So, thank you.
Well, thank you. Any questions? No, thank you very much.
Stacy Erickson to be followed by Nikki Cowger.
Hello. I got to put my glasses on because I can't see.
Okay, hello. I'm Stacy Erickson, and I have lived in Lafayette for over 30 years. My husband has been here for almost 60 years. And the first thing I want to say is thank you to the City Council for acknowledging that this is actually a safety issue. I read the memo that was sent from council to the City Council yesterday, and you also suggested in that a buffer zone. And so I appreciate that, and I'm very grateful for that. We understand, however, that legal counsel is advising that such a buffer zone would not be possible, and I'm going to quote from the memo. Time, place, and manner restrictions cannot be used to bar protests from occurring during school pickup and drop-off, or to relocate protests away from the school, because it does not allow them to reach their target audience. And just reiterating what Laura Secker said earlier, if the protesters have already stated that their target audience is the district and their trans-inclusive policy, then wouldn't that make them the target audience? Also, the same memo relies on the police department having received limited complaints regarding these protests. If we look at the comments of almost 400 people who have now signed our petition, we will notice that people are frustrated and, unfortunately, have little confidence that the city is going to do anything for the police. So this might explain why few are bothering to report incidents. However, ordinary citizens have been gathering evidence in the form of videos, photos, texts, and posts. The evidence is there if we want it.
I need to have you wrap up, if you please can.
Okay.
Thank you. 3 minutes is fast.
Wow, yes. We are not seeking to stifle speech, but rather a balanced approach that is narrowly tailored to improve the safety of children coming and going. Certainly, there are multiple solutions if only we're willing to look for them.
I'm really here. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to ask you time. No, it's okay. It's okay. I got it. I got it, guys. I got it. I got it. Please. Would you like to cede your time? You've already spoken, right? For somebody that hasn't, you can't. You'll cede your time in the back? Okay, so we have somebody that hasn't spoken.
And your name is? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay,
Can I
yeah, 3 more minutes.
continue? All right, thank you.
Oh.
So in our limited research, it appears multiple cities, as you had pointed out as well, in California have passed similar ordinances. San Diego has a buffer zone. Napa has a buffer zone. Lancaster has a buffer zone. Sacramento has a buffer zone. So it can be done. In fact, many other cities are in the process of adding similar ordinances. Since the city already agrees that we do have a safety issue and that a buffer zone would be helpful, at this point, what we're really asking is that maybe the city attorney reach out to her attorney contacts, and city council members reach out to the cities that I just mentioned to learn how a buffer zone might be achieved in Lafayette. If we are genuinely committed to the safe arrival and departure of students, surely we can pick up a phone or send an email. I know that no one here wants to be discussing this issue in hindsight, saying we should have done more, because that would mean it's already too late.
Thank you. Any questions for the speaker? Vice Mayor.
Yeah, you mentioned, again, the San Diego buffer zone. Would you like to see something like that in Lafayette?
I would like to see anything that would improve or decrease the current safety risks for children coming and going to school.
And
We
do you,
put
do
in
you,
the
sorry,
petition-
do you see the San Diego ordinance as doing that?
I don't know specifically everything that they've done.
Okay, thank you.
But I do know that that they have installed a buffer zone.
Okay, all right, thank you. Thank you for your comments. No other questions, thanks.
Nikki Cowger to be followed by Catherine Winzura.
Oh, great, okay.
She'll come in later then.
Perfect.
Okay. So that's Catherine.
We'll take all the Zoom
Get
after
them
the public
later.
comment here.
Oh, we call them all at once, after everybody in the room has heard. Yes, you.
Thank you.
Good evening, City Council. Thank you very much for allowing us to have this process. I have in front of me a printed copy of the petition that has been circulated throughout Lafayette and La Miranda. It is, to date, there is 387 signatures as of about an hour ago, and about 90 comments of those 387 signatures. So I'm just going to read the petition right now. Petition to keep Lafayette students safe from traffic distractions caused by protesters to the City of Lafayette, California. We, the undersigned residents, parents, educators, and community members of Lafayette, are deeply concerned about the safety risks posed by recent protests at the Lafayette Elementary School during drop-off and pickup times. Over the past 2 school years, protesters have positioned themselves outside of Lafayette Elementary School during busy drop-off and pickup periods when children are walking to and from school and getting into and out of cars. The protesters often carry signs that block the sidewalks, forcing pedestrians to step into the street and go around them. Frequently, the signs extend into the street itself, creating hazards for both pedestrians and drivers. At times, protesters are stepping into the road to engage with passersby, distracting drivers further on already congested Moraga Road. Growing tensions are of particular concern, adding to the distraction and commotion at a time and place where the primary focus should be the safe arrival and departure of students at their school. Students, parents, and teachers are frequently shouted at by these protesters, videotaped without their consent, and subjected to harassment. Additionally, messages on the signage are phrased to create conflict and undermine students' sense of self-worth. This is not an environment conducive to focused attention on traffic and the safety and well-being of children. Middle school students are affected as well on their way to and from Stanley Middle School and have been seen jaywalking across Moraga Road to avoid the commotion. Currently, these protests are concentrated at and regularly occur outside Lafayette Elementary, but similar hazards could arrive at other schools in the area. We hereby request that the Lafayette City Council take immediate action to address these safety concerns by creating a citywide ordinance that, 1, establishes a protest-free zone extending 2 blocks in all directions from any school, and 2, enforces this zone 1 hour before and 1 hour after school starts and ends. The goal of this ordinance is to provide a safer environment for children as they arrive and leave school while still respecting everyone's right to free speech. We, the undersigned, call on the City of Lafayette to take action and ensure the safety of our students during school drop-off and pickup times. Thank you.
No, thank you very much. Any questions? No questions. Thank you.
James Cook, to be followed by Sarah Lind.
Hi, James Cook. I pastor a church in Martinez. I'm going to be reading today. The First Amendment of the United States Constitution guarantees every American the right to the freedom of speech. This fundamental liberty is not a suggestion. It is a cornerstone of our republic. It protects not just popular speech, but it also protects that speech that some people do not like to hear. Just because it's popular doesn't make it right. But it also protects challenges, criticisms, and provokes thought. It also protects that speech. The kind that makes it uncomfortable for us because it is often that kind that drives progress. Now, cities and local governments do have the power to regulate speech through what is called time, place, and manner restrictions. However, these restrictions must be content neutral, narrowly tailored to serve a significant government interest, and must leave open ample alternative channels for expression. That means a city cannot create an ordinance that silences a particular viewpoint or makes it nearly impossible for the citizens to speak publicly. If a city ordinance is unfair and limits when and where or how speech can occur, whether by banning protest in public parks, requiring excessive permits, or limiting speeches to obscured areas, it violates the First Amendment. The government's role is not to suppress voices, but to protect them. Our Constitution was written to ensure that power would never be used to silence dissent. We must defend that principle fiercely, not just when we agree with it, what's being said, but especially when we don't agree with it, because freedom of speech is not a privilege. It's granted to us, and it is a right guaranteed by the people. I just want to say, I have been to court over some issues like this. The group that I'm a part of is called Project Truth. You might want to look them up. We actually took the College of Alameda to court and sued them and won because they said we could not be where they time, place, and manner. We went back there and they tried to do it again. We reminded them about that, and it does cost a lot of money to go to court. We have been in court so many times that every time we go, it's because the people are offended and their emotions run high. But the Ninth Circuit Court would always side with freedom of speech. And that is why your attorney has encouraged you to think about that very closely, because not one child has been hurt, but it's been blown up here that that's the issue, right?
Can you wrap up, please?
Yeah. But it's been cited that what the opposing view has said has not occurred. Whatever that
I
petition
think
said
you're
has
going to
not
have to
occurred.
stop. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for your comments, sir.
Sarah Lind, to be followed by Rob Sturm.
Good evening, everyone. It's good to see you all. I'm here to address the ongoing debate about protests in our schools. Lafayette School District Board President Rob Sturm recently urged the city to restrict protests based on time, place, and manner, something we've heard a million times tonight. As noted, these restrictions must be content neutral to respect First Amendment rights. But here's the irony. The schools themselves aren't neutral, and that's why protests continue, and I'm so glad to see you here tonight. Our classrooms celebrate one ideology on gender identity that not everyone supports. Parents who disagree are often silenced, labeled as bigots or worse, for wanting a say. Schools and the city, for that matter, don't take sides on religious debates, like whether Jesus is the Messiah. So why take a stance on whether a man can become a woman? It's a hotly debated topic nationwide, which is more the reason both the city and the school remain neutral. Restricting parents won't end this divide. It's only going to deepen it by curbing free speech. If we want peace, schools must stop promoting one side and start showing balance. Parents have the right to teach their values at home. Schools shouldn't override them. Neutrality means either presenting all views fairly or stepping back from celebration entirely, and that goes for both the city and the schools. I ask you to call on our district to lead by example, adopt neutrality now. I ask you to also do the same. Let's create schools where every voice is heard and no one feels silenced. I'd also like to point out that last year when this came to the city council, it wasn't about school safety. It was about the content of the speech, but it has evolved because they know you guys can't do anything. How about doing something far more easier than litigation? Pull everybody to the table and have a conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for the speaker? All right, any questions? No, thank you.
Rob Sturm, and Rob, you've mentioned somebody here's ceding 3 minutes to you?
Yes, Katie.
And who is that?
Katie Foreman.
And you're right there? Okay. So you get 6 minutes to be followed by Libby Henry, and then we'll go to our Zoom audience.
Yes. Good evening. The city attorney's report properly acknowledged the city's ability to establish reasonable time, place, and manner restrictions that are content neutral, narrowly tailored, and leave open alternative channels. Respectfully, however, I believe the report overlooks existing realities, fails to engage in the necessary balancing of interests, and misinterprets the specific and narrow proposed content neutral restrictions. Contrary to the report, the core issue is not the absence of traffic obstructions or impediments. Although ironically, slowed or stopped traffic might temporarily reduce the risk of vehicular accidents. Rather, it's the dangerous distractions caused by visible, attention-grabbing demonstrations near school zones, which exacerbates risks in already chaotic and a complex environment during drop-off and pickup times. Drivers slowing to read signs or engage with demonstrators are not focused on immediate surroundings, namely children stepping off curbs, crossing driveways, or emerging from between cars. The report fails to cite any supporting case law and ignores that many other jurisdictions, as you've heard tonight, have implemented buffer or bubble zones based on well-established safety concerns, and that goes for both cities and other public entities like the UC and the California State Universities. These have been upheld, whereas proposed here, the restrictions are content neutral and narrowly tailored to serve a significant government interest, i.e. student safety. To the extent demonstrators aim to reach parents of Lafayette School District students, this can be readily accomplished. For example, outside the narrowly defined restricted zone, either just up or down the street, without significantly diminishing the effectiveness of the message. The notion that the demonstrators must be directly adjacent to the school grounds during the limited window of student drop-off and pickup conflates effective communication with the most desired location, a position the courts have not adopted. The First Amendment does not guarantee the right to protest in every location at every time. Free speech and First Amendment rights are important, and in this case, the ask here isn't for an outright prohibition on demonstrations near schools, but rather a narrowly defined and limited buffer that prioritizes safety during the brief windows of highest risk. Finally, where the city attorney may believe this position is a safeguard against potential First Amendment litigation, likely the unstated elephant in the room, that concern must be weighed against the city's obligation to protect the public, particularly our children, from preventable harm. A narrow ordinance will be defensible and, importantly, will proactively mitigate a risk we all recognize and have unfortunately faced in the past, rather than wait for tragedy to compel action. Earlier today, I ran the situation by Dan Horowitz, a respected local attorney and friend whose opinion I highly value, and he too recognized the city's ability to implement a narrowly tailored and strictly content-neutral time, place, and manner restriction, anchored in public safety at our schools. I urge you, the city, to act now with the foresight and leadership that this moment demands. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions any questions? All right, no questions. Thank you.
Libby Henry is our last speaker in the room, and then we'll go to our Zoom participants.
Hi, everybody. I'm Libby Henry, 3812C Happy Valley Road in Lafayette, and I have you all beat. I've been here since 1958. I was 3. I've gone through all Lafayette schools, Happy Valley, Stanley, and Acalanes. And I wasn't actually going to speak on this particular subject, but listening to what I've listened to, I just really felt like I had to say something. I was a teacher for 27 years in the West Contra Costa School District, one of the most diverse school districts in the state. And I know a little bit about what they teach as far as, human growth and development. I was 5th grade. And I'm also a member, founding member of the Lafayette Community DEIB Committee. And in a discussion in one of our meetings, I took it upon myself to go and talk to Lisa when she was protesting in front of Lafayette School to find out what it was about, because living in Happy Valley, I didn't see it. And it's just, and with what's going on the national level, with a guy in the White House that wants to omit, just get rid of DEI all over the place.
Keep it
based on his
focused.
own
Keep it focused on purview that we have control
Okay.
over.
I just wanted to say that, yeah, there is such a thing as freedom of speech. But it is amazing to me how there are individuals in this country and in this city even who want to exercise their constitutional rights in order to attack and deny the rights of others, individual rights and freedoms, through misinformation, disinformation, hate speech, and lies. And maybe that's under freedom of speech, but it doesn't make it right. And I think it's extremely dangerous to our society as Americans when, to deny other people their rights because you don't like it, you hate it, and you're spreading lies about it is very, very wrong.
We have to wrap up. Okay, thank you. I know 3
sorry.
minutes is
I
fast.
didn't-
Thank you for your
That
comments.
little thing that's supposed to go up, I didn't hear it.
Thank you.
Our first Zoom participant is Nikki.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, hello everyone. I'm going to start off by addressing a few things that Ms. Subramanian and Chief Williams said. I have been out there for many hours of the day, many days of the school year for last year and this year, and I will share with both the City Council and the residents who are listening that the police department is not regularly there looking and seeing what is going on in this space. I have observed on multiple occasions Lisa Dispro and the other Lisa whose name I did not capture and other citizens putting their signs into the roadway where children must cross in order to get to their school, where bicyclists and cars are driving. I have seen multiple incidents of cars barely missing a child because they are paying attention to her. I think Ron made clear earlier that this is a hazard. Please, I beg you, City Council and the people who are listening to this today, do not accept the bait and switch that is happening right now in the communications from some of the people who spoke before me. This is not a First Amendment issue when it comes to the unabridged right to speak. The First Amendment does allow for cities such as Lafayette to restrict language when there is clear and present harm, and there is. I would ask that Chief Williams place an officer in that space for two purposes. One, to have more visibility into what actually is going on. And two, because I have seen her do it, Lisa Dispro will behave more appropriately around children. This is important. This is so important. I will not go further into the discussion of the merits of the arguments because, as Sarah Lind pointed out before, we have changed approach. When Lisa came to the other side of the street this year to stand directly in front of children, where there is not 8 feet of space, where they are not of age to consent in being approached by her. This is purposeful. This is harmful. Please take action. I will also note, Ms. Subramanian, that one of the things I myself as an attorney look to tell my clients to balance are risks that exist on both sides. I want the city council to envision what happens when a car accident happens, what happens when an insurance company comes after the city council for not taking action on what you know to be a dangerous situation. Guys, this isn't hard. Are there risks on both sides? Sure, but they exist every day, right now. Lisa Dispro and her followers are bringing this to our town. Please help to resolve this harm.
Thank you. Any
Ann,
questions?
Ann Levine, to be followed by Harrison Tinsley.
Hi there. This is Ann Levin. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Great. Good evening. I will try and be brief as I know it is late. Thank you for your time. As context, I am a former California public law attorney. I represented and counseled cities, including on free speech questions. I appreciate the city adding this to the agenda item and allowing us to discuss the safety concerns. However, I respectfully disagree with the city's blanket position that their hands are tied because I acknowledge, I am paraphrasing, to do so would prevent the speakers from reaching their intended audience. I understand the time, place, and manner requirements, content neutrality, and the need for it to be narrowly tailored. I heard mention of the San Diego ordinance, and that came across my radar too with a simple, quick research as well. Note that ordinance appears to have been added in the 90s. I haven't done the deep dive on this, but only recently amended. So it's not necessarily a new ordinance. I would implore the city council to request the city attorney further look into the San Diego ordinance, Hill versus Colorado, the references mentioned here about other cities with buffer zones, reach out to the city attorney network and the League of Cities network, review the texts of the ordinances regarding harassment, obstruction, and more. We're not seeking to silence speech or entirely ban speech. We're simply seeking to keep our students safe. Moraga Road is a high-traffic area, as we've heard from the school crossing guards and others. Many drivers have noted to me how distracting it is during the busy school pickup time. And I think we can all acknowledge that that road is heavily congested during school time. My dentist has even told me to schedule around school pickup times. My plea to the city is don't wait until a tragedy happens. A headline about an ordinance that, and its interplay with the First Amendment, is way better than one about an injury or worse to anyone, let alone a minor. You're hearing from your constituents about the impact this is having on the well-being of the students, staff, and others, and their safety concerns. Lastly, given the question about legal fees that was mentioned a few times, I do want to comment that in my experience serving constituents, legal fees wasn't the decisive factor on whether or not to adopt an ordinance to keep the residents safe. And I don't think it will be the decisive factor here either. I trust the city council and city attorney will take the appropriate action to address the safety concerns mentioned here today. I would request you to continue to explore the potential buffer zone ordinance to address the safety concerns surrounding our schools. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Any questions? No questions. Thank you very much.
Harrison Tinsley?
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. My name is Harrison Tinsley. I'm a single dad in the Bay Area. United States versus Grace, 1983. Senator versus Phelps, 2011, uphold that there's no doubt that this would be a First Amendment violation to instill this policy. Also, the idea that this really has nothing to do with other than these people not liking what's on the signs is ridiculous. That's clearly what this is about. We have attorneys ready across the country. Lawsuits are more likely to be in 7 to 8 figures. And yeah, I mean, I don't understand why we're pretending that these people have anything other than an ideological agenda. Everyone has a right to free speech. Parents are worried that kids are being harmed, propagandized, and they have a right to express that. They have been no evidence, no real evidence. We've heard some hearsay, but the reality is even a cop spoke, and it has been nothing but peaceful, quiet protest. So you have no right to take away our ability to peacefully hold signs or to make a regulation that it has to be 2 blocks away or during a certain time so that people aren't even actually seeing the signs. This is clearly a political agenda. People are worried about, like, we're talking about safety of children. That's exactly what these signs are for. We're worried about the children. We're trying to protect the children because some very bad things have been happening to children lately, particularly in schools, including yours. We have every right to our First Amendment. You will be sued by multiple attorney firms, 7 to 8 figures. And this is just absolutely unacceptable. These have been peaceful protests. We have a right to hold signs. I don't understand how this is even being considered. I gave you the 2 Supreme Court case laws. I'd encourage you to look into them and look into the fact that you will be sued. But not only that, we have a right to protect children. That's what we care about. People are upset about what the signs say. That is all this is. They can sit there and lie. But the reality is no accidents have happened. Children are being harmed by this crazy gender ideology, and we're not going to let it happen anymore. We have a right to express.
The policy of the school is not under our purview, so please keep it to the topic.
Yeah, I've been pretty on topic, and I just think that this is an absolute First Amendment violation. There will be litigation. We've been peaceful. We have every right to do it. Please, please let us keep our First Amendment. Thank you.
No, thank you. Any questions?
Mayor Candell, no additional speakers?
Okay, thank you. You can't ask questions. I'm sorry. It's not a back and forth. You can make comments. All right, thank you. There were some pieces I was kind of picking up here that I thought were kind of a common theme that maybe we could ask just all, based on these questions. And I think I'll try to answer this nice. Is the question of who the target audience, who that is that relevant here?
I think whether it's the parents, the students, or I also heard from one of the speakers that it may even be the school administration itself. I think it's people who are going or attending the school. So it is relevant, but I don't think the comments about it being the district and maybe they should be going to district board meetings, that's the choice of the protesters. But
Okay,
I think
thank you very much. So the crossing guard at Brook Street, is there any way to get, real data from a crossing guard? Is that relevant here?
He gets to see. I mean, sure, his life experience has some value for this. To his own admission, it's the stuff he talked about on there. So what he brings is value to what he sees. I mean, he's there every day living it. So.
Okay, thank you. The other cities that have buffer zones, is there a way to look into those?
I did look at Sacramento. I'm happy to look into more, but they are these zones that I've mentioned related to reproductive health care facilities and this approaching within 8 feet that I've mentioned. They're all trying to mirror the Hill versus Colorado ordinance or regulation, state
Got it.
regulation.
Okay.
Okay, those are the things that I had. All right, so I'll go to other council members. Councilman McCory.
I think a question along the lines, this is made to the police chief. So you mentioned, I know Nikki mentioned that the police are not out there all the time, but they are out there. And you mentioned you've talked to a traffic control officer that's out there. Do they feel that it's unsafe now in their experience?
I'd have to conduct more thorough questions with them. Just conversationally speaking, is it a distraction? It can be a distraction. So can other street signs. He sees a lot of distracted drivers, like even the crossing guard had mentioned that the drivers are on their cell phones, they're going through red lights. I mean, not all of it is around the signs, but is it another layer to consider? Sure, it can be.
In your experience, do you think we're being asked to consider kind of this either or kind of proposition? If there was, say, a dedicated traffic officer monitoring right in front of the school or something like that, would that cause people to, at least in my experience, sometimes you see a police officer, people kind of, drive a little more carefully or whatever. Would that help with safety in front of the school or something like that? Or, I mean, I don't know if the police, I don't know how often they're out there now to kind of control that.
Right. So I know, speaking with one of the motor officers, he said he makes it a point to get out there. That's where he does his traffic enforcement first thing in the morning. I'm not sure if he's out there in the afternoon pickup time as well, but we have other schools and we're limited on our resources with the amount of people we can put in certain areas. So I don't know how to better answer that for now, other than we don't have the staff to put someone out there full time for.
Right. I guess I'm just kind of reflecting, I think, trying to summarize one of the themes you heard from many of the speakers is it's dangerous now, or it's more dangerous. I mean, there's a baseline level of discomfort because it's a very busy intersection, one of the busiest in the city. And adding the protests on top of that is increasing it. And so I guess it would be, I think, important to understand if there's any sort of data we can get behind that to actually figure out if that is true or not. Because it's kind of stop and go traffic at all times. So I guess that would be maybe a worthwhile thing to investigate, depending on.
Go ahead.
So around Moraga Road is a route of regional significance. It's very busy. Like, I don't know what the latest reports, but I saw one in 2017 that at peak hour there's like 900 cars go by at that time. Is there anything we could do around that in terms of traffic during that time or Vision Zero, ordinances that we can, eliminate distractions and look at it as a road safety, literally, issue? I mean, is there anything we can pursue on that end?
I'm not sure.
I can talk to our engineering department to see if things can be done. This is the primary route from Moraga to the freeway, so that needs to be taken into consideration as well. But I can check with Patrick and Mike.
Yeah, because we have invested heavily as safe routes to school. And this is obviously a route, there's 5 different schools off this route, but particularly that included with the number of cars on that road. It seems like there's a good nexus there to pursue.
On that same line, streetlight data. Is there any way to get streetlight data? Because I'm seeing like, okay, it was better when they were across the street, and then now they moved to this side, and maybe that's a difference. Is there any data we can get from streetlight from last year versus this year to compare? I don't know if that's useful or if it's something that you've used.
It's my understanding streetlight data provides the volume of traffic at any intersection.
I think it's more. I think you can get a lot more data than just volume, I think.
Then I'll be happy to follow
Yeah.
up with Mike and Patrick.
Yeah. I don't know. Go ahead.
Yeah, let me try to frame it this way. I think it's fair to say that ensuring the safety of school children is a significant government interest. And I think that we've heard enough to follow up on that. But I also think it's fair to say that we can't act.
Oh, can we one second, Carl? Will you turn your phone? Sorry, that's a really important thing you're saying. So are we okay? Okay, do you want to
Okay,
start
I
maybe
was
again?
hearing the-
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, well, okay. Yeah, that's,
Thank you.
phone's off?
Yeah, thank you.
Is your phone off? Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, okay. Let me just start by saying that ensuring the safety of school children is a significant government interest. And I think we've heard enough to know that there's something worth looking into. And I think we all know from our personal experience of driving by school drop-off and pickup sites that they are, I'll use the word chaotic. I mean, they're difficult situations. But that doesn't mean that I know enough to support an action now. I think we need to build the record before we do anything. But again, it really is an issue of school safety, safety of school children. So then one question is, how do we build that record? And I guess we can talk about that, and we can ask whether the chief, is there some way that we can, on a maybe an intermittent basis, so that people can't plan on you being there, but just observe so that we can get a report from the police department about what the level of risk is to school children, so we have some basis on which to make a decision. And then at the same time, if we could ask the city attorney to look into these other ordinances that have been referred to. I have a feeling that most of them are dealing with the reproductive health care situation rather than schools or hospitals or other governmental agents. But it would be good for us to know that, because the public is citing these ordinances. So I think we need to know what else is out there. So if on those two fronts, if we could see what others have done in terms of making a situation safer, and then determine whether our situation is one in which it is necessary to put on restrictions to make it safer. Because I think all of us are strong supporters of the First Amendment. You know, we're not going to put on a restriction unless we can support that restriction, unless there is a significant government interest that's provable that we can impact. So my recommendation is to follow those two paths and reconvene to talk about it again.
Any other comments? Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, and I think that, thank you, Vice Mayor Anduri. I think those are really good tracks to follow. You know, the thought that also occurred to me is that we have at least one crossing guard, others as well. I don't know how, do they provide information? Do they report up to someone to say, look, I saw X, Y, Z today? But I'm trying to, like my earlier question was, how do we get data on this? How do we understand it better? And then there may be a resource that we could look to as well from sources that are there on the ground all the time. Because that to me is like, I just feel like there's a lot of blanks. But I just anecdotally, again, just from driving by Spring Hill School in the mornings, it's hectic. And we don't have the traffic at all like you see by Lafayette Elementary.
Can I just
Please,
follow
yes,
up
go
on
ahead.
that? I thought the crossing guards testimony today was compelling because it shows, while it doesn't prove the case, it does show that it's worth looking at.
Right, that's all it does, right, yes.
So I guess I want to step back. I think we have 6 weeks left of school. Okay, so I think that there's a little bit of I'm a little worried about, we don't want to, while Councilman Manduri or Vice Mayor Manduri is completely correct, I think, and we need the data. That's what I'm looking for as well. If we go do a long fact-finding thing, the school year is going to be over and we won't have addressed things. So I guess I'm just pointing that out. But I do kind of, I am concerned that we're again, the kind of the situation that was brought to us is kind of this either-or situation. We either, you know, kids it's dangerous, and therefore you can't have a protest within a certain bubble or whatever. And I feel like there's a whole range of mitigation factors we can do around safety that are far short of just prohibiting, you know, free speech in a particular area. So those have to be announced. I am just concerned about the timing. And, you know, we meet every 2 weeks or twice a month. School is only 6 more weeks. You know, I think it would be good to have, I guess I would ask if there's some sort of, at least we can ask perhaps that we just beef up at least just kind of general patrols over the next few weeks while we do a little more data gathering to ensure maximum safety of the kids.
I'm not sure we could beef up the controls. We can request.
There are things as a patrol request. You can call into dispatch and request for a patrol request for any time of day. And that could be something I could just, instead of one of you calling, I'll go over there and ask my officers to be there. Patrol request to increase patrol, the drop off and pickup times.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else? Any other ideas? All right. Thank you. I want to thank everybody tonight for being really helpful. Everybody had great comments and we learned a lot. And we know that this is a big, tough issue and we're going to have to work through it together. And we will be listening to everybody. Thank you, guys. All right, do we need a break or can we power through the rest of this meeting? We're powering through? Did you guys get enough direction, I'm assuming? Okay, thank you. Right. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Before you is Senate Bill 79, sponsored by State Senator Wiener. Casey Elliott is on the line to present the staff report to you. It's a bill that impacts local government's ability to control planning and zoning on properties owned or leased by transit agencies, and we are recommending that the mayor forward a letter opposing the bill. And I'll turn it over to Casey.
Thank you, Casey, for staying on later than you thought, probably. If you still.
Good evening, Mayor Kando, members of the council, Casey Elliott with Townsend Public Affairs. Yes, SB 79, as Narup mentioned, is a measure authored by Senator Wiener that is starting to move through the policy process in Sacramento. The legislature is currently in their spring recess this week, but the measure is scheduled for hearing next week once the legislature returns on the 22nd, and then it'll likely be heard again in its second policy committee the following week in advance of committee deadline on May 2nd, hence the desire to get this item in front of you this week as opposed to through the legislative committee process. SB 79, the bill is related to local development standards surrounding transit stops. This bill is similar in nature to the BART bill from several years ago. That said, this bill is more expansive in that who it applies to, as well as sets out some different ratios for density depending upon the type of transit stop that is being discussed. The way that the bill is broken out is it does try to categorize transit stops based on the type of transit that is serviced there, and then based on the tier, which is established within the bill, tiers 1, 2, or 3. Then development standards are put in place for those types of developments. As we look at the city of Lafayette, the BART station would qualify under the bill as what is referred to as a Tier 1 transit-oriented development stop. So under that definition, any residential development within 1/4 mile of the BART station could be built up to 75 feet in height, of a maximum density of 120 dwelling units per acre, and then would have to have a minimum floor area ratio of up to 3.5 for residential space. Those do drop down a little bit for projects within 1/4 and 1/2 of a mile from the public transit stop. Those would be 65 feet in height, 100 units in density and a floor area ratio of 3.0. The bill does go on to, like I said, put in standards for what are considered Tier 2 and Tier 3 stops. Based on our reading of it, I don't believe those will be applicable. The only other element that would be bus lines. However, I don't believe that the county connection within the city service will count as a high-speed bus, other than what would likely be occurring at the BART station anyway. So under this measure, additionally, the bill would provide transit agencies, the ability to set forth development standards on properties that they own or have permanent easements on, related to both housing developments as well as commercial developments within those standards. So obviously this bill, there's some concerns from local government perspective in that it does provide agencies outside of the city to put in development standards and approve projects that may not necessarily be in alignment with the city, or through the housing element process, general plans. So with that, the recommendation is to consider an opposed position. While the bill has not yet been heard, so we don't have an official list of support and opposition yet, Cal Cities has taken an opposed position. They are encouraging other cities to do the same. From our understanding, there are several cities within Contra Costa County that are in the process of submitting opposed letters or will be doing so soon. As far as the supporters, this bill is co-sponsored by California YIMBY and Spur Bay Area Council, and has support of many kind of the pro-housing organizations that we see in many of these bills. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions related to this bill, but want to be respectful of your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Councilman Cervantes.
Thank you. Casey, thank you for sticking with us. So my question is, I went back to the BART bill, which was AB 2923, because this came up in the housing element discussions early on. And so there, as I recall, BART could develop the lots that it owns up to 7 stories or 75 units an acre. The figures here are higher for tier 1 and within a quarter mile, up to 120 units an acre, I think. So does this bill, would SB 79 supersede AB 2923? Is that what happens here?
That's a very good question. As the bill is currently drafted, it is agnostic to the BART bill. I would note that the BART bill sunsets in 2029. SB 79 does not contain any sunset. So after that date, it would be very clear in that if the BART bill was not extended, then SB 79 would take its place. Since the bills do not cross over, I would assume we would kind of have this at least in the Bay Area, in areas where we do have BART, that there would be kind of this back and forth under BART's TOD guidelines that the development for the BART station would be under right now. Lafayette's BART station qualifies for even lower densities and heights than are otherwise permitted at stations in other areas. BART's TOD code makes a differentiation between neighborhood stops and stops in, for example, San Francisco and some other density areas. So, but this bill does not make those types of delineations, anything like that. So at this point, 79 does not cross-reference AB 2923 at this point.
Okay, and just out of curiosity, so could BART, for example, or maybe any other transit agency, purchase property or lease it and turn around, upzone, and develop? Is that an option? I mean, I would think they could do that under this bill.
Sure seems like it.
Yeah, this bill does not, it pertains to land that is owned or in permanent easement by a transit agency. So it doesn't necessarily have to be owned or in permanent easement upon the enactment date of this bill. So presumably future acquisitions would be eligible for development under these provisions.
Okay, and maybe one last one, going back to AB 2923 again, the BART bill. I kind of dug it up because it was buried in the file somewhere. There was some language in there about consulting with a local jurisdiction. It seemed a little bit vague to me. It was there with respect to SB 79. Is there anything like that in there? Again, I went through it. It's kind of dense language. I didn't quite see it, but I was wondering, is there what role, if any, does the local jurisdiction have with respect to the transit agency under the bill?
There are references within SB 79 to deemed consistencies with local planning and zoning compliance. So there is at least an acknowledgement that there is local planning processes that go on in place. My read of some of that language within SB 79, again, when it starts talking about deemed consistent, does not necessarily imply that it would be otherwise consistent within the planning processes. So there to answer your question, no, there's nothing in the bill that would mandate working with local governments. However, at least there is some acknowledgement that there are local standards in place.
Thank you.
Thank you, Casey. A couple of quick questions. I guess the structure of the bill confused me a little bit when they start talking about the zones, the quarter-mile radius and the half-mile radius out from the transit area. That, coupled with the fact that, as you mentioned, the transit agency has to kind of own or have an easement or long-term lease on the property. So obviously around here, we're really just talking about the BART parking lot, right? I mean, that's the only piece of property that would be impacted by this bill. I mean, the quarter-mile and half-mile radiuses don't really apply to us. I just want to confirm that.
Yes, that from the distances, you'd basically be talking about the BART parking lot. As I noted, there is a provision within the bill that does allow for the transit agency to set up development standards for commercial or residential on properties that it owns, irrespective of distance. So potentially you wouldn't necessarily be dealing with just a parking lot near a station if there was a maintenance yard, a corporate yard, some other land holdings, then they could have development standards in place for those, which could include residential or commercial. Does not necessarily have to include residential in those provisions.
Right. And okay, I guess that does make sense, a corporate yard. And the final question, I guess, is this was mentioned briefly, but just to confirm, right? So this is before any density bonuses would be added, right? And it's kind of in our experience, at least what I've seen about BART, at least with BART, they are very, there's a lot of advocacy for low-income housing. And if it's a typical transit-oriented development kind of housing thing, we would expect to have a lot of lower income housing, which would trigger significant density bonuses on top of this, right? So it could be 75 feet, it's just, and 120 units an acre is just a starting point.
Correct. The bill does mention, particularly as it relates to the density, that the development proponent can seek increased density through density bonus law.
Thank you.
And one more question. They imply that they don't actually have to build housing? Like BART could build a brewery. I was thinking more Costco. Is that possible?
For the provisions within 1/2 mile of the station of the transit stop, that does have residential requirements. However, for other properties owned or in long-term easement, those do not necessarily have to have a residential component.
Okay, I'm so confused. I didn't understand that at all. It's like basically our BART parking lots. What are they allowed and not allowed to do there under
Your
SB
BART
7?
parking lot under this bill would need to include an element of housing. Yes. But for example, if they did like I said, a corp yard or some other properties that they owned, there would not need to be that would not necessarily require a housing component of the development.
Okay, thank you. That clarifies it. Public comment? Yeah.
I have 2 public comments for persons in the meeting hall. Libby Henry, to be followed by Bill Bucher.
Hi again. I'm sorry, I didn't get the name of the gentleman.
Casey Elliott, who's from Townsend. He's our ledge analyst.
I understand that. I just beg to differ with him on a point about SB 79. It does include bus lines, bus stops, and Lafayette does have bus lines going through it, Upper Happy Valley to Happy Valley Road, only once a day, but it makes Happy Valley totally susceptible to this egregious upzoning. And so, okay. SB 79 is a perfect example of the many, many pieces of legislation written by Scott Wiener, especially, that is blatantly attacking single-family home neighborhoods and cities all over California. His group of cohorts, including and supported by the governor, the attorney general, and the director of HCD, with legislators such as Buffy Wicks, Catherine Blakespeare, Alex Lee, David Alvarez, and others who have jumped on the bandwagon. But these people have combined to pass over 250 bills in the last 5 years with no results. Let me clarify that. When I say no results, I'm referring to the fact that the expressed concern and goal of all of this was to produce affordable housing. The fact is that in 5 years, with this kind of legislation, virtually no affordable housing has been built anywhere. The reason for this is quite simple. None of the bills are written with requirements for the developers to build anything affordable. The developers have all the control over when and how they build, while cities have been mandated to death with unattainable RHNA numbers laws that override any planning or any city ordinances already in place. Cities have all of the responsibility with none of the tools, and including funding, to attain their housing goals. Every city in California is being set up for failure with unfair and undemocratic housing laws, like SB 79. And instead of providing assistance or guidance, Wiener et al. Are laser focused on creating laws that not only punish cities, but they're attempting to pass laws that even take away cities' rights to challenge any of these laws. So opposing SB 79, one of Wiener's most egregious this year, is a good time to start standing up for the city, because very unfortunately, democracy and representation in Sacramento has devolved into virtually nothingness.
I need you to wrap up. Thank you. Thank you for your comments.
Joe Bucher?
Hello, my name is Bill Bucher. I'm the current president of the Lafayette Homeowners Council. I'm speaking on behalf of them. For many of the same reasons Libby's spoken, as well as what Casey mentioned, we think this is a terrible bill. It steps on, again, the sledgehammer approach from Sacramento, dealing with perhaps bigger cities, and then it's going to trickle down to local things. So we support very much. We're writing our own letters to the legislature in our opposition to it, but we support very much that the city take a position in opposition to this and send something to the state. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, thank you for your comments.
No additional speakers at this time?
Okay, so I guess, does anybody have any comments, or do I have a motion? Yeah, go ahead. Comments. Sure.
Because, I mean, I just think back, again, go back to GPAC days. So we started the housing element 4 years ago. Council's been working on it for the past couple of years. Finally got our certification, thank God. So it's been a long process, and I kind of feel like we've got at least a marker in the ground as to what the city's trying to do with respect to housing and zoning, long process, and I kind of feel like this bill moves the goalposts on us. And, you know, I think one could argue that you need more density to make housing work, and there's a fair debate in there. But I guess my criticism of this is like, then tie it to the RENA process. I mean, make it sort of a more holistic view of how we try to approach and solve the housing conundrum in California. Because I just feel like, you know, it's kind of a whack-a-mole process here. And on the local level, we're trying to figure out how to make it work. We finally got our zoning set. Let's try to make that work. So I kind of view this bill as like a little bit like sort of too much too soon. Let's try to make work what we have right in front of us and do our best to see that we're trying to do with 949 Moraga. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Maybe not just to put too fine a point on it, the absurdity of the fact that we got our housing element approved when we were not allowed to use the property on the BART parking lot as part of our housing element, and having this bill come in to force us to kind of have development happen completely outside our purview is absurd, I would say.
Thank you. And the league agrees with you. It's like, why have a RENA process if we get laws like this? Yeah, no, I agree. It will impact our city, but we already know the BART lot impacts our city. It's so many other cities that never had AB 2923. This is a massive impact on the rest of the state of California, which is why the league stepped up, and I'm thankful for that. All right, so do I have a motion to authorize the mayor to send a letter to the Senate Housing Committee and Senate Local Government Committee opposing the bill?
So moved.
Oh, second.
Okay, all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oh, Jim says aye, yeah. Okay, thank you. All right, thank you. You're welcome, and thank you guys for staying so long and bringing your comments. All right. We will go to council members' reports on activities. Okay.
Very briefly, I just want to publicly thank the chief for the traffic enforcement saturation project, which was a huge success. I can say with my limited circle of friends who have been calling for that for a long time,
Oh.
it was really, yeah, it was very welcome, and thank you very much for doing that.
Just two things. I was happy to represent the city at the celebration of Lafayette. Here, we're talking about the history of the actual Marquis de Lafayette, and able to add our, I think on behalf of the mayor, add the city's proclamation, which was terrific. I also want to shout out to Ann Appert, our Citizen of the Year.
Yes.
Happy to have the mayor there and honoring a absolute terrific citizen and a credit to Lafayette.
Yeah, thank you. I want to add to the Marquis de Lafayette. It was so adorable. It was actually really a great event. And the little band, my goodness. I mean, if we can get them to a city council meeting, we can have, 10 minutes of happy music before we start. That'd be amazing. All right, thank you.
And if I could, I also went to the Marquis de Lafayette event. Our Councilmember McCormick did a terrific job of reading our proclamation. And I just wanted to, if the mayor will indulge you just a half second. I think it was a great lecture in history. There's some really terrific exhibits in the library. But I also, even though this is long ago and far, far away, this week on the 19th will mark the 250th anniversary of Lexington Concord, which is really the beginning of the American Revolution. There were things going on before. And we'll start the cycle of 250-year commemorations of all these events that happened, which led to American independence, and eventually the Constitution after the Articles of Confederation. So I find it appropriate that we spent the bulk of this council meeting talking about the First Amendment and how it impacts all our various lives. And that process, there's a lot of debate in that. So I think kudos to the citizens of Lafayette who came and shared their views. And I think kudos to the people who 250 years ago took a huge risk to create something that we still enjoy today, and it is on us to help preserve that legacy. So, thank you.
Oh, very appreciated that, yes. Thank you. Any other council reports? No, thank you. Okay, 18A, letter from Christine Raymond, the Community Foundation Lafayette, for the Lafayette Community Day. Have any questions? Any public comment?
No public comments?
Great, so do we have a motion?
I move approval.
Okay,
I'll second.
all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and please, everybody come, May 3rd.
Yeah.
Signups are open, LafayetteCommunityDay.org. All right, email from Eric Shaw. All right, so City Clerk Robbins has said that we want to kind of clarify in this particular item, we will also be able to grant them the encroachment permit. We can also waive the fees for this encroachment permit if we so choose. And those will be, modifications or clarifications in this use case, the encroachment permit on, in the resolution. Do we have any comments, questions? Any public comment?
No public comment?
All right, so do I have a motion with the modifications?
I'll move approval with the modification to waive the encroachment fee.
Great.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you, great. And then we have 18C, which is the email from Peter Norton resigning from the Creeks Committee. Oh, I know, thank you. Thank you, Peter Norton, for 6 years of volunteer service. Any comments?
Oh, well, I'll do after public comment. If there's any.
No public comments?
Great, all right, thank you.
Okay, so as you've
Concern.
heard many times, the Creeks Committee is just an amazing committee
Yes.
because every one of the 7 members is extremely active. They come to the meetings and they're active in between the meetings. And Peter was definitely one of those. I mean, one of the things that I really appreciate him doing is taking on the project of creating those signposts for creeks. So he's responsible for that. There was an Eagle Scout who worked with him, or he worked with the Eagles. Well, first he took on the project, then we got the Eagle Scout, and they did it. And I think there's about 20 to 25 of the signs around the downtown and other places that let people know the name of the creek that they're passing or that passes them. And so it's just all part of the effort to, let people know, yes, there are creeks and they have names and they're important to us. The more familiar you are, the more you'll value the creeks. And Peter did a great job among other things he did while he was on the committee. So Peter, thank you.
Wow, thank you. All right, so I guess we will accept his resignation. Thank you. And with that, we will adjourn. Thank you, everybody. Big meeting tonight. Now, sir, did you have a question, item?